Temporary help while your secretary goes on her summer vacation? Then call us.
Ollie Girl Temporary Services, hello.
Every Ollie Girl has been personally drilled by Colonel North himself and is fully trained in typing, filing, and shredding. And they'll work part-time so you won't do dime.
So, I need a girl who'll stuff some top-secret documents down her blouse. But listen, she should be very loyal and a hot-looking bimbo.
Got it.
Remember, next time you need a real professional who'll cover your phone as well as your butt, get yourself an Ollie Girl. Part-time help with full-time immunity.
Okay, 10:08 at WINZ, and all those people in the audience who are upset because we're not carrying the hearings today, and we got a lot of calls. They're all too dull, he says. But, that's the fun way to go, with a real dull one. That's the way the audience wants us to go, with dull razor blades. Sharp ones, immediately, no pain, no problem. But when they're dull, that's where the pain comes in. There is so much potential in this area, and the people in this state, the majority of them are so goddamn dumb that it's unbelievable. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating, it's debasing, it's degrading. And as far as, anybody who would suggest to you that I'm insulting the audience, we've only got about 9% of the audience, which means 91% of the people who live here, who listen to the radio, don't even listen to this show. So there are about 9% of us who've got our heads on straight, and the other 91% are a bunch of morons. Well, let's round it off. Let's make it 90. And I keep hearing all of this. See, what they love to do in this town is rationalize. Like, if it weren't for the Cubans, Miami would be nothing. That's a line that really sticks in my craw. Or sticks somewhere. That is the biggest bunch of hogwash. And again, you're supposed to lie. You're not supposed to say the truth, because then you're Cuban bashing, you're anti-Cuban, you're a hate monger, you're this, you're that, whatever. And as I've told you 50 million times, I don't deal with people as members of groups. I deal with them as individuals. Because in every group, there are the good, the bad, and the ugly, to quote Hugo Montenegro and Colonel North, okay? The good, the bad, and the ugly. I wonder which of those Colonel North is. Well, we know one of those for sure. The last one. Wouldn't you think with all that money that they were siphoning off, he at least could have done something with his teeth? Get a good dentist. Call Dr. Rosa, will you, please? We got a good dentist in Hallandale for you, Ollie. Miami, at this point, is like Calcutta. It's like a hodgepodge of, I hate to say it, because, people will then start with all that typical pseudo-intellectual crap about I'm xenophobic, and I'm this, and I'm that, and about all the other cities are melting pots. Melting pot is one thing. But just the city of foreign intrigue and crime is another thing, and that's basically what Miami is. And no question about it, Bayside is loaded with cars and loaded with people, and even though they're belly aching because they're overcharging everybody in some of the stores to try to make up for those humongous rents, granted, if you want to see some action in the city of Miami, that's one place. I will confess, Major, I'm sure, is listening. No question, every time we've gone by there, loaded with cars. But how about the rest of... You see, when you talk about Miami, you're not just talking about the city of Miami. I know many of us who live in places like Coral Springs, and Plantation, and Sunrise, and wherever, we like to kind of, in our own minds, isolate ourselves from Miami because we assume that Miami is not for me. Miami is alien. No speaking to Inglés. It's a totally foreign country, which is why people are not going to go there to see basketball games in Overtown. People are not going to go there from Broward and from Palm Beach to go to Bayside. They're not even going to the Galleria in Broward County. We can talk about that again. All those liars who called in 2 days ago and wasted all of Stan's gas money. They wasted his gas allowance for the whole week. He's going to be staying at home all weekend because you people wasted his budget gas for the whole week, schlepping to the Galleria to see absolutely nothing and nobody. Oh, but it's a Thursday, and it's the middle of July, and there's nobody here. Who ever heard of such a thing? In the middle of the winter, in the dead of winter, in the middle of December or January, you could go to Chicago or Detroit, two of the schmutziest northern cities I can think of. And no matter where you go, it'd be loaded with people, at least unless they're snowed in that day. And nobody would say, oh, well, it's not the summer season. It's, the dead of winter and the weather, it's 20 below zero. There's nobody here. Nobody ever heard from such crap. But here, the minute that the Easter Bunny crawls back into the hole, does the Easter Bunny live in a hole? Or is he related to that pig from West Virginia? Oh, he lives in a hutch. That's cute. Well, wherever he crawls into, that's it. Adios, arrivederci, until Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas, maybe a little after Sukkot. Who knows when it's going to be when they start coming back. And how many of you can name me another American city where a sizable percentage of the population, and I'm talking about warm climate cities. Do you think that a big chunk of the population in San Diego gets up and leaves in the summertime? No. Or Houston. I mean, you could fry eggs on the sidewalk in Houston. Or Phoenix. Major can tell you about 120 in the shade in the summertime. Do you think that in cities like that in the summertime, a big chunk of the population just disappears? We've got it all. We've got snowbirds. We've got early birds. And Cesar Odio and Sergio Pereira, the man of many faces and many suits, very upset. And I want to correct something, by the way. I said yesterday, I think, that Sergio Pereira was the number one asshole in Dade County. Now, that's going a little bit far. He's up there in the top 5. But number one, giving him a little bit too much credit, I think. I got carried away. Because he was already making all of these comments and holding, this meeting. He hadn't even read the article. Now, the only reason I'm talking about it is because, well, everybody else has got an opinion about it. Nobody's read the article except the people in the newsrooms at those stations in town fortunate enough to have it. We do have a copy of the Weekly Reader, by the way. Arlene left it last night. Also, a little bit later on, I asked the question yesterday. We never got one response to it about Delta. Would you fly Delta if you're going on vacation this summer? They had another episode night before last. Another one. Yeah, I think what I would do is fly them to Boston. They seem to be having real good luck in Boston and L.A. My only experience on Delta was the first leg when I went to Hawaii a few years ago. The first leg from here to Denver and then supposedly to L.A. Supposedly. But didn't quite work out that way because I wound up being on 2 planes on the ground in Denver, Delta, sitting an hour and a half on each one with malfunctions, technical malfunctions. Finally, we were flown to Long Beach. This is a true story. Long Beach. It took an hour to get my luggage. Bussed to L.A., put up in a hotel overnight, and then flew Eastern to Hawaii, which was great. For all the ragging people do on Eastern, it's like they've got a death wish. I mean, that would be like the people in Rochester ragging on Kodak, which they don't do. They're not stupid. But here, of course, the people are stupid. So they rag all the time on Eastern. I've been flying Eastern for I don't know how many years. I never have any big problem. Oh, sure, there are times when a flight takes off a half hour late or whatever it is. But generally speaking, I don't have any major problems. I think most of their problems are between labor and management. That's where 99% of the problems are. But at least they land on the right runway. If they say they're going to land in Alabama, at least it's the right state. With Delta, it might not even be the right country. But because Eastern is such an important component of our economy here, it's very popular to rag on Eastern. See, if you just talk in general about how the town has degenerated, then you're a bad guy. But it's okay to specifically pick out, major industries and rip them to shreds. That's okay. And encourage people to fly other airlines. Good airlines like People's Express. Those airlines where they have like a little door. You know what I'm talking about? Like not even a gate. There's like you go downstairs and there's a little door and you really never, I've always wondered where those people wind up. Like, is there really a runway out there somewhere? Is there really an aircraft, or is that just for show? So other people will think that there really is an airline. It's like at the Rochester airport. It's one of the only places in the world you get off the plane, and hey, there's the stairs, and you walk down the stairs. Oh, come on. I mean, this is 1987. Who ever heard of walking down, and the steps on airplanes are really fragile, and they have those rinky-tink handrails that every time you hold them, you feel that they're going to fall apart. I wonder if Delta has those. No, it's serious. I mean, that's what a Mickey Mouse airport that is up in Rochester. You get off the plane, and you get out, and you go down the steps, and you're on the ground. You kiss the ground, you kiss the Pope's ring, and there you are. Unbelievable. Okay, 10:35 at WINZ. I'm going to get back to Bunky Buyer and some of the other brain-dead folks that we want to talk about. And then a little later on, I want to, do a couple of hours on Delta. And then we'll see how things go, and maybe we'll take some calls. Maybe not. Maybe we'll leave all the callers for Stan, especially Stan's callers. Now, yesterday, in the early part of the show, I just want to warn you up front, some of Stan's callers must have gotten up early yesterday. I could say on the wrong side of bed, but with them it doesn't make any difference which side. And the rain came a little bit early as well. So I just want to caution you, if there are any of those major misfits, please, Stan starts at 2 o'clock.
Now is the time. There are over 6,000.
21 before 11 at WINZ. And if anybody has seen Harvey Rubin's dog, we certainly encourage you to call. Okay, this town is just so incredible that I could write volumes about it. Nobody would believe it. So I applaud this Sherrill guy, whoever the hell he is. So he lives in Tallahassee. Who cares? What does that mean? And some of the statistics they say are old. Of course, we don't have any crime now. We don't have violent crime. Not by regular criminals. Most of the crime now in Miami is committed by the police. When you really come right down to it, it's almost humorous. It's almost hilarious to stop and think about the reaction about this. It's kind of like the Catholic Church. You can't criticize us. You can't say that. In other words, the First Amendment exists only so far as it comes to certain things. But when there are other things, when the sacred cows are involved, then you can't speak. You cannot criticize South Florida, and you certainly can't criticize the Catholic Church or the Pope. Very, very few other institutions. Of course, you also can't criticize the president if you live in South Florida, because then you're comunista, you're unpatriotic, etc. And that, of course, is another part of the wonderful flavor, the international flavor of Miami, is this right wing, and I understand the article deals with this right wing, this rabid, insane. I'm not just talking about political leanings. I mean, there are places where there are a lot of liberals who live or whatever. We're not just talking about liberal or conservative. We're talking about people who are in a frenzy, people who are obsessed with their rabid, blind, anti-communista mentality, who know nothing else. I mean, you're entitled, to feel however you want, but when that's all-consuming and you're obsessed with it, then we got problems. And so we're not supposed to think about the Dolores Prida incident or about all of these silly resolutions they keep putting on the ballot. We don't allow communist country members to come in. And, of course, Joe Carollo, who didn't want to have the Sister Cities Convention here. And on and on and on it goes. And all of this posturing in the last 48 hours or so since they learned about this article and they had their emergency meeting yesterday or Thursday morning, whatever day it was. All of this posturing reminds me exactly of Bruce Singer and all those blue skiers on the Miami beach. It's the same thing. They think that by continuing to scream loudly enough, of course, nobody's got any answers. They're not going to change anything. They scream a lot. And now, of course, they're going to write a letter to the editor of the New York Times. That's heavy. Man, they're not going to take this sitting down. They're going to write a letter to the editor of the New York Times. How do you like that? And all of these mavens on the beach include, and I like Bruce. He's, he never stole a freight train. He's kind of like a schlub, but he's not a bad guy. But he's full of it. The beach looks like hell on wheels, and I said that a few minutes ago. I'll be happy to say it again. It's deadly. Oh, yeah, we got the OVO. Surprise, the OVO is gone. Club Z is gone. The Comedy Womb is gone. And the reason things disappear, there's one reason why things disappear, and that's because they don't make it. And why don't they make it? Because everything over there is a flash. Oh, we got all these young people, and I applaud Bob Blum. Now, Bob Blum is not a schlub like Bruce Singer. Bob is legitimately a good businessman and has, some real good ideas, and he's got some guts, which is very rare. And Singer's got some guts. No brains, but guts. And you can just document all of this. If you want to get in your car and you want to drive around and look at it, or if you just want to stop and take the newspapers from the last couple of years, look at the spring break thing in Fort Lauderdale. It's like systematically we have a bunch of morons who are doing everything in their power to make reality what all these articles are saying. So what's everybody upset about? They should be applauding. They should be delighted. Because everything that they're working so feverishly to make happen is happening. I mean, if you think Calcutta is a world-class city, then I agree. We're a world-class city. No question about it. We have world-class crime, world-class criminals, world-class mafia. You name it. We got it. And as far as people comparing it to New York, what is the comparison? I have to laugh when I hear that kind of crap. I heard somebody this morning talking about that. Oh, well, New York, the New York Times, what business have they got? New York is so full of crime. And of course. But this is supposed to be a tropical paradise. And I challenge you to go to Honolulu and to go to Waikiki Beach, to go to a real tourist area, to go to Vegas. You don't have to go all the way to Honolulu. You don't have to sit in Denver on Delta for 3 hours waiting until they're ready, even when you are. Just go out to Vegas and see the difference. I'm not just talking about the rudeness and the way people are treated. I'm talking about the fact that people are doing business. Things are going on. There's excitement. Remember that family bill in the legislature? What happened to that? Governor Dracula, vetoed the bill. That's the kind of state we're in. And sometime between January and April of next year or the year after, we're going to get the lottery. Sometime, somewhere down the road. I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, it's only the middle of July. Between now and then, they could screw it up good. By the way, did you see one of the people who offered his name, who wanted to be considered to be the director of the state lottery? Did you see one of the people who wanted to be director? Was Ralph Rennick. And who was one of the outspoken people against the lottery and casino gambling? Ralph Rennick. You know what that would be like? That would be like if they passed casino gambling next year, and Dick Capon of the Miami Herald then wanted to be the state director of gambling. That's what that's like. Oh, yeah, they have a logo for the lottery. Yeah, it's a little picture of Dracula sucking tax money out of the necks of taxpayers. He's biting somebody's neck, and pennies are falling out. And we can sit here, and, it's very depressing to me because I know a lot of the people in this audience voted for casino gambling, and it's a dead issue. I don't really want to get into it, but I bring it up only for the fact that it's not that the answers aren't there for the problems of this community. And, all those people who say, well, this is a residential town. It's not like it was years ago. This isn't a tourist town anymore. Who ever heard of such a thing? With the tropical climate and all these beaches, what are we supposed to say? Well, like they did in the Eden Rock, that 84-year-old guy a few years ago, put up a sign, tourists go home. I mean, we've got all the attributes for it, and everybody wants to come here because they're freezing their tushies off up north for 6-7 months out of the year. But, hey, we don't need that anymore. We're becoming a world-class city. See, when in doubt, when you're desperate, use one of those cliches. World-class city. We're it. We have world-class morons here, and most of them hold public office. But you see, cities like New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and San Francisco and Philadelphia, they're tourist cities. They do tremendous tourist business. But they also are cities where there are other businesses that are going on. There's manufacturing, there's a lot of industry, there are all kinds of things going on. Of course, we could talk about the movie industry out in Los Angeles, and we kept hearing the movie industry was going to be big here, right? Until the governor helped to chase them away. Rarely a day goes by that we don't have another story about how the booming film industry in South Florida is right on the ropes, in jeopardy because of the new tax. You see, one of the things in this state that amazes me is that anything like natural that you just inherit, the people here can find a way to screw it up. I mean, if it's just there and you can go out and take it, they'll still find a way to screw it up, as opposed to being able to exploit it and, profit by it. So tomorrow morning when you get up, one of the first orders of business, those of you who don't have the $50 for the newspaper to subscribe every week, go out to your newsstand. I mean, there are at least 3 of them in South Florida, or to one of those coin boxes and pick up the Sunday Times. What is that? Not in coin boxes on Sunday? Are you sure? Like I said, forget about the coin box. Are you positive about that? Boy, that's depressing. Well, in that case, you'll have to drive around for a couple of hours. It'll be a good excuse to take the South Florida tour that I'm always encouraging you to take. There's not enough space for all the coins. That's true. When you have to put in $30 worth of coins, it's kind of difficult. But you'll find a newsstand somewhere, and you'll be able to pick it up. And then you can read all of this terrible propaganda. From the people who have actually read the article, most of them say, even though they're like the picture that's a phony picture and so on, you can nitpick with any article. I mean, we can't all be perfect like Tropic Magazine articles are. We can't be fair and accurate. And by the way, what's that guy's name, Gene Weingarten, that moron who's the editor of Tropic Magazine, is he still there? I still have my hair, okay? I mean, there may not be a lot of it there, but I still have some hair. I know that comes as a shock to you. We can't all have as much hair as Mr. Capon. The bald, atheist, homosexual, Jewish, douchebag, talk host. We can't all be, fair like Tropic Magazine. Nobody's perfect, except the Herald. But as I started to say, most of the people who've really read it say, hey, basically it's not a bad article and it's pretty fair. And it does show a lot of the positives, and it talks about the new basketball team in Bayside. The guy tries to balance it out. But don't confuse the powers that be with that. They don't want to hear from that. All they know is that somebody has said some bad things about us, and right away they're Miami bashing. What they're doing is they're telling the truth about an area that's turning into a toilet, and I've been telling you that for the last 7 years. And as for this miraculous recovery and this great turnaround and all this other stuff that they keep talking about the last 48 hours, I don't know what they're talking about. Is it the Metro Rail? The People Mover? The basketball arena? And then all these little brats, all these spoiled sports now are all upset because they can't all sit on the 50-yard line in the new stadium. The new stadium's the most beautiful damn thing that's ever been in this town. When you go up to Calder this afternoon to plunge your brains out, go up there on the 4th floor in the clubhouse and go outside on the roof garden and take a look. You can almost spit at the stadium. And, of course, some of the season ticket holders would like to do that. No. I mean, this is a place where you can, no matter where you sit, you can actually see the game. And, of course, we've got a lot of phonies here. They don't really want to see the game. They just want to be able to tell all their friends and all the people in the office, oh, I got seats on the 45-yard line. Even though, of course, it's behind a pole in the Orange Bowl and I can't see anything. So I'm very, when there's something good that happens here, I'm delighted, like the new stadium. As much as Joe Robbie may be a douchebag, I'll say this. There are damn few other people, especially with all the adversity and all the crap he's taken from the politicians and all the heat he's had to take. There are few people who would still be here with that team. There are a dozen cities that would love to have Don Shula and the Dolphins right now, tomorrow, before Sukkot. And how long will it be? How many games will they play before some people find excuses as to why it's no good? That's the thing that I've never been able to figure out. When something is garbage, when a real lemon comes along like the Metro Rail, everybody comes along, hey, this is the greatest thing since they invented matzahs. It's fantastic. It's great. I mean, you had to be a moron. When they started making the first pillars for the Metro Rail, we used to go out and watch them crack every night. That used to be the big exciting thing to do. Some towns, they go out and they watch them make bread. Here we'd go out and watch the pillars cracking on the Metro Rail. And sure enough, they had to re-pour most of those pillars and redo them. And I'll never forget the night that we did the show a couple of years ago when we had the guy who was the head honcho, the supervisor of the whole construction project. He said he wouldn't ride it no matter how much they paid him. But everybody in the media loved the Metro Rail. They couldn't get enough of it. Being a shill in this town, man, that's the number one thing. Being a shill, covering up all the inadequacies, all the problems, and just pretending everything's marvelous. But having the balls to really point out and identify the tremendous insanity that goes on here. If it weren't so pathetic, it would be funny, like the thing with spring break. All of those idiots who said, hey, listen, we don't want all those kids, send them away. They did everything in their power to get rid of them. Now they've gotten rid of them, and just as I said it right on the air, I said, what are they going to replace it with? Just like the people who were anti-casino gambling, and I kept saying, okay, give me an alternative. What else are we going to do to compete with Orlando and with all these, with the Bahamas? What do we do? Nobody had any answers. Well, we had the little fishing boats with Howard Kaufman, remember? The little fishing boats. And we had night beach bathing. Jaws 5. With Howard Kaufman. Talk about an idiot. And maybe we can make some little mini buses and we can take people on junkets from South Beach up and they can see the picture on the side of the Fontainebleau building, and then we can turn around and go the other way on Indian Creek Drive and take them back, and they can sit on the steps and they can rock back and forth and they can wait to die. And that's what's going to be in Fort Lauderdale pretty soon. You know, all those little motels on the strip there, on the side streets, where generally there are a lot of young people, 5 to 10 years, man, it's going to be just like the beach. You're going to start seeing springing up all these retirement homes. So we can make Fort Lauderdale into a gigantic nursing home. Then wait till you see the line at Sadie's Buffet. Oh, boy. All the way from A1A to Sadie's Buffet. You know, well, we used to have spring break here. You couldn't drive on A1A because there were all those crowds of young people. Now you won't be able to drive because there'll be crowds of old people. They'll all be out there with their walkers, and it'll be great. It'll be terrific. Now they can jaywalk across University Drive. 10:55 at WINZ. We do have another break to do, so let's do it.
It's the first time ever, and it's making Hyundai history at Gulf.
You know, where was Ollie North when we needed him, right? Where was Ollie North in 1959 and 1960 when we needed him? So we could have convinced all of those Cubans to stay there. They could have become Contras, freedom fighters in their own country, stayed there and fought the Comunistas instead of invading and turning this into a foreign country. And there are a lot of wonderful Cuban people out there. There's the disclaimer that we always have to give, you know, lest I be chastised for generalizing. And I've always said that. But the idea that Cubans made Miami is a lie. Because the influx of all of these boat people has prevented this from being the kind of great city that it could be. Great American city that it could be. And I underline American. Because Miami, by any barometer, by any stretch of anyone's imagination, is not an American city. It's a foreign country. It's a banana republic. I mean, when they took the city seal and they put Chiquita's picture on it, I mean, that should have given you an idea right there. Jim Loney's here with local and area news headlines next. The world news from CBS upcoming at the top of the hour. And then we'll come back with hour number 2 at 11:05, 11:06, somewhere around in there, you know, a little bit after the top of the hour. And Stan Major and his communist frogs will be along from 2 to 6 this afternoon.
This weekend, Rogers.
Hey, Rosita, I have to go shopping downtown for my mother. She needs some tortillas and chili pepper.
The sounds of a world-class city, ladies and gentlemen. Medley. Sweetwater. 11:06 at WINZ. We're back for hour number 2, and there's one other aspect of this whole thing, because everybody, once the New York Times thing comes out tomorrow, everybody's going to be talking about it. So it's good that Fred Schatz is going to be here on Monday, because we won't talk about it. Then Tuesday, when they're all done talking about it, then we'll talk about it. Or not, as the case may be. Did I say anything about anybody calling this show? I didn't ask anybody to call. See, the one thing I've discovered in 11 and a half long years, and I say this almost every day, but it's a constant reminder, is that when you want people to call, because they're antisocial to begin with, when you want them to call, there's always that tooth-pulling kind of thing you got to go through. When you don't want them to call, man, the phone lights up like a Hanukkah bush, constantly. Look at that, all 7 lines going nuts. What did I do? Did I say, hey, now would be a good time? Oh, I know what it is. The tea lady on the cart gives the numbers out. I've never been able to figure out why they do that on the carts. Like in the intro to the show, on all these talk shows, they give the phone numbers out. I can give you the phone numbers. They're very simple. There are only 2 of them, first of all. And they're very easy to remember, and there's no problem. Oh, the Broward calls are probably for the plant guy on IOD, yeah. Or Jim Mandich, one or the other. I think what they ought to do one day over there, I think it would be fun for them to do sports talk 24 hours one day, just for the fun of it. Wouldn't that be great? They could talk about even the Miami tropics. Now, come on, Joe. Joe Zagacki has let the tropics down. I think that when Joe is on again, you ought to talk about the Miami tropics, honey, because you've let them down. Nobody knows about them. I must confess that I was embarrassed because I sat there and I'm reading that newspaper, and I felt like I was in a different town. I said, there's no such team as the tropics. Did anybody ever hear of them? So, and the article was going on about the fact that they only drew 300 and some odd people. Wouldn't it be probably nice if somebody knew that they existed? Not that the United Basketball League is probably going to make it anyway or that anybody really cares, but wouldn't it be interesting if somebody knew that they existed? That would probably be a good start. I also see, I'm a little bit nervous for Ron Fraser, by the way. I'm a little nervous for Ron because on the front page, I think it's on the front page of today's Herald, isn't it? See, one nice thing, one of the perks about working here is you can get the Herald for free. And since I don't get it at home, it's the bottom right-hand corner, big picture. Castro greets U.S. All-Stars. And here's a picture of Fidel. I don't know who this one kid is who's got his hand up in the air, but Fidel is pointing at him. Now, there are a lot of things that I can assume. I'm not really sure about Fidel. You never be too sure about a crazy Cuban. To the cheers of 30,000 spectators, Castro left his seat, walked into the American dugout, and shook hands with U.S. coach Ron Fraser and the other Americans, spoke with the players for about 5 minutes. And I like Ron a lot. He's one of the real... He's a breath of fresh air, if you pardon that expression, in an otherwise depressing town. But when Ron comes back, he may have a little bit of problems next season over at Marklight Stadium because now that he has shaken hands with Fidel Castro, in the minds of some, he may be tarnished. Yeah, Fidel wants a contract with the Yankees, and the kid knows George Steinbrenner, who is probably one of the most objectionable human beings on the face of the earth, George Steinbrenner. And I say that with no reservation whatsoever. But getting back to this whole diatribe, that, it's compulsory. Everybody must go through this because the powers that be discovered ahead of time that this article was coming out, just like the Time magazine article back 6-7 years ago. Paradise Lost. The article was absolutely truthful. It was in fact, if anything, it was an understatement. It was a very accurate reflection of what a toilet this town had been turned into by the Mariel boat lift. And did Jimmy Carter ever come back and apologize? No. Instead of writing his memoirs, what he should have done was come down here, moved into Little Havana, or moved into South Beach. Could have brought his brother along. They wouldn't have had to wash the buildings anymore. Of course, Billy is off all of that now. He's clean now. He still occasionally tinkles outdoors, but he's not drinking. One step at a time. Every time this happens, we get the same reaction, and I get the same reaction, and I know some of you are just waiting, dying, to ask the question, so I'm going to beat you to the punch. Because they ask me this every time, and they ask everybody this question. If you don't like it here, why don't you get out? I didn't say I didn't like it here. If I didn't like it here, I'm sure there are plenty of other places I could get a good job, make plenty of money, and actually talk to living and breathing people who are anxious to talk to you, who are not antisocial. But I do like the weather. I don't like freezing my tushy off for 8 months out of the year. And when I went to Rochester a couple of weeks ago in the middle of the summertime and it was cold and bitter and rainy and windy and nasty, I said, wait a minute. When does the good stuff come? When is the summertime? And then I remembered it's about 3 days in late July and early August, and that's it. But when you live somewhere and you care. See, if it's only for me, if it's only selfishly, doesn't make a lot of difference to me. Because whether we have casino gambling or not, and I was accused of having all kinds of interest. I was being paid off, and I was going to be the casino commissioner, me and Dick Capon, I guess, going to be the casino. All of this crap. I have no vested interest in it. But wouldn't it be nice, instead of people every weekend going to the Bahamas, to all those fakers down there that Stan exposes very accurately every day, or having to fly all the way to Vegas, which is so far away, or, God forbid, go to Atlantic City, which is an absolute toilet. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to, right here in our own community, have some action, have some fun, and bring back the big-name entertainment? See, the idea of bringing back the old days is people, reopening old restaurants with the same name with garbage. I don't want to mention a particular restaurant in Dania that is, looks very closed and dark to me, but that's people's idea. They're going to bring back the past. You can't bring back the past. The past is over with. Finished. Arrivederci. But you can certainly start over again. You can say, hey, listen, we've got an opportunity to really do things here like they do in Orlando. I mean, Orlando is one of the slimiest little towns you could ever imagine. It's a filthy, slimy, disgusting place with a bunch of Yahoo rednecks. So what does that say about us? I mean, if they've been able to do what they do, they've got that beautiful new airport, and Disney is building that big movie complex, so they just keep expanding and doing all these incredible things while we sit here getting PO'd because people are writing bad things about us, so we're going to write a letter to the editor of the New York Times. Bah! Take this. And, of course, once we write the letter, once they put it in the mailbox, that'll make everything improve, right? And all of a sudden the cops will all be honest, and the politicians will stop buying stolen suits, and everything will be great. And people will come back to the Galleria, and the kids will come back to A1A, and everything will be wonderful again like it used to be. See, when you've lived here for any period of time, and you've seen the rapid decline. Some of the Johnny-come-latelys who've been here a couple of years and all of a sudden are instant mavens on what this area is, as I said before, you have no perspective to judge by. If you go right now to New York City for the first time in your life, I guarantee you, unless you're a dodo bird, you're going to think, boy, this is an incredible and exciting, this is phenomenal. And yes, it still is an exciting city, and there are a lot of things to do there, but it's a toilet compared to what it was 20 years ago. This is urban blight, urban decay, rot, crotch rot. That's what's happening in the big cities around the country. Crotch rot. We better send him that undergarment catalog. But when you have an area that's got all the natural beauty and all of the natural attributes like we do, and when the federal government spends millions and millions of dollars to rebuild the beach that washed away, and they give you a beach that looks like the Sahara Desert, and you still can't do the right things, I beg you, I beseech you, if there's anybody who doubts what I have to say, because a lot of people in this town, they live in fantasy land. They live in Kendall, or they live like I do in Plantation, and that's basically where it's at. They just stay within a relatively small radius of wherever they are. Once in a great while, they'll drive down to Bayside or to whatever, and that's it. So they don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But take the trip, I beg you. And you can do it on the weekend if you like, but the best time to do it during the week, like on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday, as Bruce Williams would say, take the trip. Go down to South Beach to where that big, they were bankrupt for a while. Now they're back in business. Maybe next week. Who knows what the story is with that? What is that, South Point Towers or something? And start right there and go north on Collins Avenue. And look at the Lucerne and the Atlantic Towers and the Versailles and just scream. And that already is getting up into the 40s now. When you start way down in the end, you have to go through all of South Beach. But go all the way up. And look at the Denny's where Wolfie's used to be on Lincoln Road Mall. and look at where the Wolfies on 21st Street is now, and look inside and see the 3 derelicts sitting inside and a couple of drunks slumped over, and the waitresses pulling off their aprons, running out and resigning in the middle of the afternoon, screaming and yelling, bloody murder. And then drive up, of course, through the concrete canyon where it all looks very wonderful there for about, 10 blocks? 10, 15 blocks until the road turns again. And then you're in for a real treat. And you can go all the way on A1A, with the exception of Bal Harbor, which, of course, most of us can't afford to live in Bal Harbor. We can't afford to shop there because you even have to pay to park to go shopping there. But with the exception of a couple isolated areas, you go all the way up there to Galt Ocean Mile went bankrupt, right? How far do you go before you finally see, I guess, to Boca, right? All the way to Boca. And when you get to North Miami Beach, that's where I'd like you to take special interest, where the Castaways used to be. There's a big fence there now. A big wall. We keep building walls, What was all of this crap about the Berlin Wall they were screaming about a couple of weeks ago? We got walls in Fort Lauderdale. We now have a wall in Hallandale to keep these senile people from going out and doing kamikaze routines in the middle of the street. We build a lot of walls because we're trying to hide the shame of what we've become. So don't give me that if you don't like it here, why don't you leave? I like it. It's okay. The weather's great. I like Calder Racetrack. Got a good job. I've got some friends here. That's fine. I have a beautiful house. But boy, this area is so far short of what it ought to be. And the fact that our community leaders, in their infinite wisdom, would rather lie to the public and lie to themselves instead of saying, hey, boy, we got a long way to go. We ought to do something. That answers the problem right there. That explains why we've come this far. And the other thing, and I'll just mention it briefly, I mentioned before about Delta. Now, I'm not going to be going on vacation again for another 5 months till about Christmas time, so I'm not, Delta doesn't need me, and I probably wouldn't fly them anyway. I wouldn't fly Delta if they paid me to fly. In other words, if they paid me the airfare to go on their airline. And when you watch the representatives of Delta getting on the news the last few days and saying, shaking their heads, well, human error, there's no other answer for it. I don't know about you. I'm not that crazy about flying to begin with. I'm not it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but I'm always a little edgy because I know that my life is in somebody else's hands. It's like letting somebody else drive. I don't like that. I like to drive myself. I'm not too comfortable being a passenger in somebody else's car because I like to have my own destiny in my hands. And the idea that somebody with an IQ of over 3, there are people still getting on those Delta jets every day. What do they have to do? They have to have a couple of them collide head on before even that wouldn't do it, would it? They'd still get on there. Okay, let me give the numbers out because invariably, we get to that time when it's time to take our lives into our hands, as I just said. Okay, 25 past 11. Would that be good? Hey, if I could promote that, not on a weekend, though. If we could do that on a weekday show, what I was going to do is light my head with this butane fuel that somebody sent with this beautiful lighter, and then just, flip the lighter and see what happens. Okay, let's go to your calls now. They're just lit up like a Hanukkah bush. And I told you at the beginning of the show today, don't expect much. Didn't I tell you that? So don't get your hopes up. Miami Beach, hello.
I'm calling in to agree with everything you're saying and to tell you that I'm going to be the first one at the box to buy a copy of the New York Times Magazine tonight and see what my friends are reading about. One thing that you've been saying that I really agree with and I want to emphasize is that the one mistake that's being made is they're trying to recreate the past. Mm-hmm. If the past were so good, the present wouldn't be like it is.
Well, it doesn't really make any difference. I'm sure that there were things in the past that were great, but you can't recapture the past. One of the worst human exercises is living in the past, and I know a lot of people like that, and they fritter away their whole lives living in the past. And once the past is gone, and I've discovered this through, the hard way, but once it's gone, man, it's gone. And you have to look to the present and the future, and you can't recapture some wonderful nostalgic thing from the past.
Well, there's a tendency down here towards superficiality and a fast buck. And I think that a lot of the hotels, not casinos, and resorts and restaurants and so on and so forth, and even a lot of the service industry down here that was developed during that heyday was really a bit of a flim-flam, and that's why you're left with this decaying infrastructure down here. There's hardly anything left to build on. It's as if those of us who are looking ahead to the future have to really start all over again.
Well, okay, but you say there's hardly anything left to build on. It's not that many years ago that we still had. I've only been here 11 and a half years, and that, when I first came here, was still after the peak of the heyday. But when I came here, it wasn't so bad. And there was still plenty of activity in the beach, and spring break was at its peak, and the castaways in all those places were still there, and there was a lot of activity, and Biscayne Boulevard wasn't as bad as it is now. I mean, there were hookers and everything, but and basically what has happened is the same thing that happens in big urban cities. You see this flight to the suburbs. The only problem is here that we've got all suburbs, and we have no core city. I talked about this a few weeks ago. There's no hub. There are just unrelated little bedroom towns. And this is where everybody's gone, and they keep fleeing and running farther and farther because of the blight that exists in Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Well, it's like any illness. The illness started quite some time ago, and what we're seeing now is the aftermath of devastation. I still think that the profit motive is a big factor. I mean, there's so much done down here is done for a quick buck, and it results in not looking for the long-term needs of the community.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of bad business people here, let's put it that way. I mean, and I've said this ever since the first day I came here. The way that people do business in this area just astonishes me. I mean, I told a very quick story the other day about going into Two Guys restaurant for lunch, and I'm standing there, and I'll be right with you, and she's buzzing away on the phone, and there's nobody in the place. She finally sits me down, and she throws, and I mean literally throws in a very nasty way, the menu on the table, and walks away with a PO'd look on her face. Now, that's really a great way to invite somebody to come back.
I thought that was part of the attitude that was, it was that haughty, desirable attitude. Here, I'll be mean to you so you'll love me and feel at home.
Yeah, the S&M attitude, right.
I assume you're talking about a restaurant that was once one of your sponsors not too long ago, weren't they? With a relatively famous restaurateur?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, a slip of the tongue. What can I
Relatively infamous, yeah.
Hey, listen, keep up the good work and keep the oldies off the air, okay?
We're doing our best.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. The oldies are with old what's-his-name there over at Waxy. 29 past 11 at WINZ, an open line in Dade. 624-9400. North Miami, hello.
Hello, Mr. Rogers.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I only wanted to cue you in on the fact that for those people who cannot afford to buy the Sunday Times tomorrow, every public library in South Miami, South Dade, South Broward, and Palm Beach County carries the Sunday editions on Monday morning.
Great.
So they can see it for nothing.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that'll be great, because here everybody wants something for nothing, so I'm sure a lot of takers on that. Coral Springs, hello.
Neil, how are you?
Okay.
Good. You were talking about New York City about a couple minutes ago?
Yeah.
Did you say crotch rat or crotch rat?
Crotch.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Thanks a lot.
I like Ed Koch.
Okay. Yeah, I do, too. He's a terrific man.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bess Meyerson used to like him, too, but, he's trying to distance himself at this point. 11:30 at WINZ. We have an open line in Broward. 524-9400. North Miami Beach. Hello.
Neil?
Yes.
Just where do you think the people
oh boy
Calder are going to park when they have a bus?
Oh, boy. When are you going to stop, okay? When are you going to stop?
All the people from
wait a minute. Let's slow down. When are you going to stop?
I'm telling you the truth.
When are you going to stop belly aching, Sal? When are you going to stop?
I'm telling you that the people from Calder, from the...
Can I ask you a question?
Park at Calder.
Do you like anything?
Yeah, I'd like to go to the racetrack on Sunday without the Dolphins fans parking in a parking space where I won't be able to park at Calder.
All right, you don't like Joe Robbie. You don't like Don Shula. You don't like, I'm sure you don't like Marino. You just don't like the Dolphins. Isn't that the bottom line?
I don't like the organization. I don't like the ripoff that they're doing to the public. the prices and with the
here the man takes the responsibility after he's been jerked around by the city for how many years, takes the responsibility of going out and financing his own stadium, builds a state-of-the-art, magnificent stadium in a podunk town that doesn't even support his team, and you're still bitching.
I'm saying that the people from the ball game are going to be parking at the Calder racetrack for a lousy $1, and the people that go to Calder, like I do every Saturday and Sunday, which I'm on my way right now, are not going to be able to park at Calder racetrack, and there's going to be a lot of scuffles there, and I don't know what the Calder people can do about this situation that's going to happen.
Well, park valet for crying out loud like I do for a lousy $2. Come on, spring for a couple of bucks.
Valet parking. They'll be parking at valet parking. What do they care? And they'll stay there at 4 o'clock. They'll come back and get their car from valet parking. Isn't that going to be a big scene out there when they have a big race or something on a Saturday or Sunday? Where do you think I'm going to park? Even valet I won't be able to park because all the people from the ball game will be parking there and walking over to the stadium. And if you don't think that's going to be a problem, then you got another thing coming to you. You just think about it.
All right, I got the solution to the problem. Okay.
Yes, you tell me.
WIOD is the Dolphins station. They're very, as you know, they have this incestuous relationship with Joe Robbie. Okay?
Yeah.
All they got to do is take the jet copter on a weekend. They're not doing anything with it, and they can provide free transportation to and from the track. 11:32. I mean, they spent $500,000 for it. They might as well do something constructive. You know, when Clarence is, back in the Everglades on the weekend. We have that is Saul who just called. His name is Saul. He's called me for years. And, the guy is just, I don't know what to make of him because there's something about him that just is so emblematic of all of South Florida. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of things that I'm upset about, and I spent an hour and 20 minutes telling you about them, but I don't dislike everything. I mean, if there's something positive that comes along that really legitimately is a plus, like the stadium, hey, great. All right, so there are going to be some parking problems. It's like the people who said, well, we don't want casino gambling. Where's everybody going to park? Isn't that terrible that we should have so many tourists that we have to worry about building new parking garages? Isn't that just the kind of problem that every tourist town would love to have? Because, we know that we have to have the Atlantic Towers and all those other empty, beautiful buildings, all those eyesores. We need those there on Collins Avenue, right? Do you realize if they tore down about 10 of those buildings, they could build enough parking spaces there for 20 casinos? Pompano, hello.
Hi, Neil. I happen to agree with you. I was born and bred in Miami Beach. I live in New York now. I still have a place down here, and as you know, I'm down here right now. I happen to agree with you as far as Miami Beach is concerned right now. In fact, not too long ago, I had a conference at the Omni Hotel. The first words I was given on arrival at the Omni was, if you're going to go out, drive. Do not leave the hotel by yourself.
Yeah, don't leave on foot.
That's right.
And when you're in the car, lock the doors.
That's correct. Those were the first words upon my arrival at the Omni Hotel. That in itself speaks for the whole situation. As I say, I come from New York. I agree with you. What's happening in Miami is happening in all the big cities. I do a tremendous amount of traveling. Probably the only city that I find on the East Coast has done anything to any degree is beautiful downtown Boston, which is trying to bring itself back to life by tearing down and rebuilding. Other than that, no. Nothing. Garbage. I happen to agree with you. I think you come across very intellectually. I enjoy your program and you. And when I come down here, my radios are automatically set on your program, and I look forward to it.
Okay, appreciate it.
My pleasure, sir.
Good hearing from you.
Bye-bye.
I mean, it's easy to say, well, we've become a big city, so therefore we automatically should expect all the urban problems that any big city experiences. And that's garbage. That's crap. It's been through the laxness of the powers that be in Dade, Broward, and in Palm Beach counties. I mean, if you could see West Palm Beach, I worked there 12 years ago, and I'm going to tell you that was one of the best years of my life. It was a great place. I mean, it wasn't New York, and it wasn't Vegas with casinos and all kinds of excitement, but it was a nice place to live. And it was clean, and it had great restaurants and a lot of activity and a lot of people and great beaches. That city looks like they had a war there, and the media failed to report it. That's what it looks like. I can't believe what that town looks like. What now? Kyle is up there getting the razor blade sharpened again. What now? Just more dummies? Stain comes on at 2. Don't you understand, folks? Okay, we have an open line in each county. In Dade, 624-9400. In Broward, 524-9400. And we'll come back right after this.
Have you tried to get a good deal on a Cadillac lately? Well, take a look at some of these ads. Well, here's one dealer who says he's number one. Yeah, here's it.
94 News wins.
So and on and on and on and on. I mean, there's no discussion of situations, of events.
22 minutes before noon at WINZ. Let's go to Plantation. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes.
Hi, Neil. It's Richie from Plantation. How are you?
Okay.
I just have to tell you something real funny. My wife and my child are out here. We're sitting in our backyard looking at how beautiful it is up here, right? And I'm leaving this afternoon at 3:30 to go up to the sewage of New York for business. And I'm also flying Delta Airlines. You're making me a nervous wreck out here. You know?
I don't want to make you nervous, Richie.
Neil.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to that restaurant I told you to go to P. August?
Have I been there? No, I haven't been there yet.
Oh, yet?
No.
All right. I was the guy that told you to go up there. Anyway, you want to hear a funny story?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm standing out here waiting for, to talk to you for like 20 minutes. And I happen to take a walk from the chair, and I'm standing by the pool. And the sun just broke through the clouds, so I put my face up to the sun. And all of a sudden, my legs went out from under me. I fell in the water. And then my son's hysterical. I'm standing here on a portable phone waiting to talk to you, and I ended up falling in the pool.
That could be an omen, Richie.
What do you mean?
Delta's ready when you are.
You mean an omen of things not to come?
Well, listen, you always wanted to visit Newark anyway, right?
Anyway, so what do you think the solution is to South Florida?
I don't have any more solutions.
No?
We already had the chance. We had a chance, with a snap of the finger to turn this town around, and I don't want to mention those dreaded words because it's a dead issue.
That's right.
But we already had the chance, and in our infinite wisdom, we said, no way, Jose.
The crazy thing is there's really one unbelievably positive thing that this area has. And that being the Miami Dolphins. They've been, since 1972, they've been a pretty good asset to the community.
No question about it, and everybody wants to bitch about them, and they don't support them.
And now everybody's upset because they don't have the exact seats that they had in the biggest sewage pit in the country as far as the stadium is concerned.
Yeah.
So now they can go to a nice stadium and go like a mensch, and they're all upset.
You notice, like Saul, who called a couple of calls back,
he's degenerate.
Having a nervous breakdown about the parking already, and there are people having nervous breakdowns about their season tickets. Everybody already is looking for all the negatives.
That's right.
And
why is that?
Because we got a lot of negative people here. Like I say, something positive comes along, and, oh, no, we don't want gambling here, and the mob's going to come in, and it's where will we put all the parking, and the traffic will be bad. We've got 8 million reasons why we don't like the good things, but, but the stupid things we love. What's that?
Great rule. You know the new Ramada Inn up here in Plantation, Sunrise, right near where we live?
Yeah.
You live in Plantation, right?
Yes.
I don't know if they told you, but they are installing slot machines in that hotel.
Well, they're wiring it for gambling. Let's put it. They're not installing slot machines. They're wiring.
Ready. Can you imagine all the people coming out of the bagel host up there on University, all those old people going over to the casino at the Ramada Inn? They'd be shaking and baking right to the tables.
Absolutely. Well,
Hold on
listen.
for a second. My wife has to say hello to you.
Okay.
Hold on. Her name's Carol. I'm converting her to AM.
Good.
Hold on.
First of all, no, he's not converting me to AM, but I have to ask you something.
Yes, Carol.
Okay, I don't understand something. Why is it, I'm expecting you to answer this now, why are all these people listening to you? Why are all these people so turned on to you? What is your explanation for everybody I know wanting to hear you and your view on things? And I mean, it's like, first now they're looking to I don't want to say the word, spaghetti like Oliver North is a hero, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Right.
And they listen to people like you. You have your viewpoint, which is fine, but you're turning into, it's like a cult, a Neil Rogers cult. Can you explain this to me?
Yes.
You can?
Because 10% of the public wants the truth.
10% of the public
The other 10% wants the truth. The other 90%, the ones who loved Oliver North, like to be lied to.
Yeah.
So 10% of them listen to me, and 90% of them love Colonel North. What can I tell you?
Well, why do those 90% want to listen to you? What do you think you have to say that's so unbelievably different than the other normal people in plantation or South Florida.
Adiós.
What?
Hasta luego.
You can speak English, you mean?
Have a nice day, Carol.
Thank you.
17 till noon at WINZ. Boy, she was just wrapped up into a frenzy. I bet you she bought Richie the ticket on Delta. I bet you anything. Don't go, Richie. Don't do it. I'm telling you. I don't want to scare you. But when they land at Newark, of course, a lot of the flights to New York do go to Newark. So if your flight is going to Newark, you'll probably land at Kennedy. Okay, where are we going? Let's go to Kendall. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, first-time caller.
Great.
You do tell it like it is.
You bet. Even when it hurts.
Even when it hurts.
Which is most of the time.
I don't know. I don't understand what these people are bitching about. I read that thing in the Herald today.
Yeah.
Comparison between the 81 article and this article.
Yeah.
Thing the Time did.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out, they say we've gotten better. We're just a young city.
Yeah, just wait another 20 years. Then wait till you see the crime we've got, man. Then it's really going to be good.
Till we have casino gambling again, right? And then we could get it voted out again.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, you should tell your buddy Saul, right? You should tell him to take the issue up with Mr. Robbie.
They call him, when you work at IOD, they call him Mr.
That's right. Hey, did you hear the other day on Sports Talk they were talking about...
Except for Rick Weaver, who calls him God.
God. They were talking about Rick Weaver. They called in and asked him about changing the helmet in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes, I don't think there's much to it. I don't like it. And Mr. Robbie doesn't like it.
Ooh, well, that says it all.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah. That says it all.
Shill. The man's definitely a shill.
They have a lot of credibility, don't they?
A lot. That jet copter, that guy Clarence is great.
Yeah, Clarence is good. Actually, Clarence is Bill McQuaig. Bill had nothing to do in the afternoon, so they put him up in the copter.
In drag.
Okay, well, listen, have a wonderful life down there in Kendall. We'll see you.
Neil.
We'll see you at the Town and Country Mall. Yes.
Restaurant.
What?
A great restaurant for you.
Okay.
276 Alhambra. The name of it is 276.
Really? In the Gables?
Yes, in the Gables. French, contemporary food, very excellent, really classy.
You know what they say in the Gables, don't you?
What?
Adios.
All right, Neil.
See you later.
Bye.
This great international city, this flavor. Man, where else can you get this flavor? We've got Jamaican gangs, we've got Haitian gangs, we've got Cuban gangs, we've got every kind of criminal that's ever been invented. We have Contras, we've got banks. I mean, this is the center of mystery and intrigue. You notice how much of the whole Iran-Contra hearing centered around this area. This is like the focal point. This is the stopping off point for drugs and contraband of all kinds. I mean, you name it, we got it. It's incredible. But we're an international city. See, the people in this town, the morons, and they really are, the people in the Chamber of Commerce and the politicians. I mean, when you look up the word moron in the dictionary, you'll probably see a picture of one of those people. Like Seth Gordon. He's another one of those real geniuses with the Chamber of Commerce. Remember when the Chamber of Commerce took a little informal vote and the majority of the membership wanted to endorse casino gambling? And the board of the Greater Miami Chamber said, oh, no. No way, Jose.
Hasta luego.
Right. Because after all, that's not the kind of community we want to live in. We don't want business. We want to be a little seasonal town. So if you don't make it between Thanksgiving and Easter, tough luck. You know what I'm saying? You have to wait till Sukkot at least. Boy, that trip to the Galleria, really, that was like the last nail in the coffin for me. I mean, if I needed it, that was the real reinforcement to me. Speaking of death, hey, the Mets are only 9 out. What are you worried about? They're playing okay. Look what the cat dragged in. Watch every line on the board go out. No, that's okay.
I'm not going to talk.
What do you mean you're not going to talk?
I just came here to look for some information on my guest, and naturally it's not here.
What do you mean it's not there? It says right on the board, Philip Worth.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be Federal Express down here, and there's nothing. The press copy, the press guide. The literature.
You don't need any information. You don't need literature. You just wing it. An old pro like you? You've been faking your way through for 12, 13 years now.
So I understand. Listening on Monday, yeah, I heard that.
Look at that Hawaiian shirt. He's starting to wear shirts like I do.
Well, I was going to wear my Met hat, but I figured I'd look too childish if I walked in with that.
Oh, now see, the sensitivity is starting again. When are you?
How
when are you
long
gonna
have I
let
been in
that
this
go?
business and I'm still sensitive?
When are you going to let that go?
I have to have a brain transplant.
Okay, a week from Monday, we're going to have the poll. We're going to bring in Fowler, and we're going to take a poll and find out who's the most sensitive broadcaster, employed or unemployed. I mean, Calder will be in there. He'll be on the list. Bill is so sensitive. And I can't understand why, because he's gotten screwed so many times in the business. By now, you'd think he'd be getting used to it, but he's very sensitive. And you're right up there.
Oh, obviously.
And the day that Lassiter called in to depress me, boy, you were on the phone within seconds, within a matter of moments.
I got news for you.
It's the Good Old Boy Network from Pinellas Park.
He called me about 3 hours later trying to explain to me why he sounded so depressed. And I said, you're going to have to change. I said, you're going to have to change your act, Bob. And he gave me expletives, deleted
Are you
and
serious?
undeleted.
And then he called me at home that afternoon.
Did he really?
Yeah, at 3:40. I don't know why I remember the time. It's like certain things in your life, you know, like when Elvis died or whatever. You remember the time and where you were. 3:40 of that afternoon, the phone rings. I'm sitting there watching the hearings. I'm minding my own business. And here it is. And you'll never believe what he said to me. He said, I'm so depressed.
Unbelievable.
And by the time I finished the conversation, I went in and I drank some boric acid, and I felt better. It was great. Boy, is he a depressing guy.
I tell you, I don't understand him. And the thing is, it's almost like he wants to spread the wealth, so to speak. You heard of Typhoid Mary?
Exactly.
This is depression.
Misery loves company. Haven't I always told you that?
Absolutely.
Misery loves company.
That's why there's so many
So you
people in
came
this
in
business.
as a nice guy on a weekend, on a day off, to let me go to Calder at noon. That's a good card today.
No, I have to go to the movies today. I came in to see if this literature had arrived, talking about Second Harvest, which is help for the homeless, back on that shtick again. I don't know why.
You never give up.
I never give up.
You never know when, to throw in the towel.
No, but look what I'm following.
It's a very good topic.
They're going to be talking about Africa on the Ira Everett show.
Is Ira ever going to have a white guest on that show or what? Seriously.
And the Haitian Task Force is going to be marching on this station also. I have to
that
follow
ought to
that.
be good. Boy, Stan ought to be monitoring that show tomorrow morning. He'll have to get up early.
By the way, you talked about board ops, getting jobs in this business. I got to tell you something. Our good friend over at the Cat, our good friend Howard Prima, started his career as a weekend board op.
Howard called me the other day.
Did he really?
For some advice. I'm serious.
What'd you tell
called for? I said it wouldn't be ethical. I said I can't do it, Howard.
He wants to go back to talk?
I don't know what he wants. No, he doesn't want
Let's start
kind
a rumor.
of advice. He wants advice.
But Howard was a board op. He was my
and I
board
should have
op.
said, get out of the business, Howard. That would have been my best advice. I mean, Howard is...
He was. I remember those days, and I remember that he took over as an assistant news director for,
But he does witchcraft. See,
Does
that's
he
how
really?
he got to own the
saw
station.
that.
You
He
see,
looked-
abracadabra.
The
he
Amazing
was,
Randy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Amazing Howard.
So what's doing?
What's doing?
What's...
I've been listening to too much Bruce Williams. I'm
Listen,
telling
I have
you.
something here.
By the way, there was a caller on Neil Meyer's show who had a great point, had a
Neil
great
Meyer?
line. On TalkNet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't say that. I mean, you're desperate to save that one shift you got left. Just relax. Anyway, made a good point. You know that it's illegal because now they're trying to ban smoking on airline
Airlines,
flights
right.
of 2 hours or less.
Which I think they should.
Okay, I'll light up and I'll start smoking 2 Dutch Masters at once.
Give me one, will you, please?
But anyway, he made a very good point. It's illegal to smoke cigars, cigarettes, or pipes in federal buildings. Right? Absolutely.
Right.
It's federal law.
And Poindexter was there
all week long.
That's right.
He's been breaking the law. But, of course, that's nothing new to him. But it's true. He's been sitting there puffing
Can
away
I-
all week long.
can
You
I have
want
one of those?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
please,
can
absolutely.
have as many of these as you like. I didn't know you smoked.
Oh, well, listen. There's a
Well,
lot of pressure in this business.
Kyle has a smoke buster up there, a noisemaker in the control room. And look at this beautiful butane lighter that one of my listeners sent me. Isn't that great? Terrific. Okay, so now we got Spindell smoking cigars, proving again that he's a clone, If I were in here...
Don't do it. I'll play
I thought you
Holding
went
Out for a Hero.
I thought you went to San Diego to get decloned.
Deliciously different marijuana. Deliciously different.
If I were sitting in here smoking a joint, he would be lighting up, but we don't do that because, first of all, I don't smoke it, and secondly, it's illegal, and we at WINZ do not break the law.
I have this cassette.
Although
from
it has been said some of the people here couldn't get arrested.
Back to the Future. And what I did is I pulled that part for the laugh of the father, and I'm going to try to put it onto cart to see if it matches you-know-whose laugh. So maybe in the next hour I'll have this thing carted up if I could figure out how to do it. I'm very technologically ignorant, which is probably why I'm a talk show host rather than a board op. I understand board ops have a big career in this business. What are you looking for? The laugh, the cackle?
I can't find anything in this rack.
The
Since Major
cackle's
came in.
You've got another rack here, too.
We have a rack for Stan now.
Oh, I thought that was for Ira Everett and all of his
That's
Motown.
the one that's got all the pictures of the little girls on it. That's Stan's rack. Okay, 7 before noon at WINZ. If you're on hold, just hang in here with us. You're not going to go anywhere or do anything anyway, but, we have to humor Mike. He's become very insecure since there have been a lot of changes in the market. He starts calling all of these celebrities at the various stations. That Sunday show means a lot to him. It means little to the audience because they don't like talking to him, and they just basically don't like him. But he keeps coming back
Why
week
do you
after
say that?
week.
People love me.
No, they don't.
They always tell me that on the phone. I love your show.
They don't love you. They can't stand you. They think you're a nerd, but they do listen in. I mean, I don't know why, but they listen because they get some kind of perverse pleasure from it.
Well,
they love when it gets to be about 10 after 11 and you start screaming, "No, well, nobody wants to talk about this. Okay, you people, all right, no more serious
the only
subject.
time I've
There's
ever
no
seen
room."
Kyle laugh up there.
Because he knows it's true.
But it's not true.
And he also takes a perverse enjoyment in that because he loves to hear you
I
die.
do a
to
good
hear you
job.
hang out there. I didn't say you didn't do a good
I
job, but
do
they
a
don't like
great
you.
job.
But they don't like you. Would you admit it? Just for
Well,
once in your life, be honest. They don't like you.
I think that they
They don't like
generally
me.
speaking, they don't
And
like
look how well I'm doing. They hate my guts,
So
and I'm
then
doing great.
I got to start doing a lot.
I've tried to tell
worse.
Calder that for years. Being loved is not where it's at in this business. That's not where it's at.
No.
No.
Well, I don't
Being
care
despised
whether
is
they love
where
or
it's
hate
at.
me, but the point is they
Oh,
listen.
yeah, right.
That's the whole reason that what's-his-name is not working 6 days a week. He's afraid I might beat him again on Sunday.
Who's that?
What's his name?
Oh, is he back on the air? Okay, 6 minutes till noon at WINZ. We're going to come right back. Have you ever heard a grown man cry? So the Mets lost the game. It's only a ball game. I mean, it could be worse. Could be the Miami Tropics.
The Tropics.
Did you ever hear of the Tropics?
Absolutely.
Okay, now
They play against
wait a minute. If you're in the
USBL.
If you're in the listening audience, you're part of history, ladies and gentlemen. We have two people in the same building, Kyle and Mike Spindell, who had both heard of the Miami Tropics prior to today.
That's, they have, it's the United States Basketball League, and they play such great area. They play Long Island, the Long Islanders. And what are the some of the
how
other
can
teams?
they miss?
Yeah.
If they play Long Island.
That's it. And they also play Orlando. It's a good brand of basketball. A lot of those guys are getting ready to go to the pros. Michael Ray Richardson.
Princesses don't like basketball.
Princesses don't like basketball. I got to stop thinking about that one for a second.
But anyway, the guy's getting all upset because I told him Davey Johnson is a choke manager, and the fact that they had the best team in the league, the best team in baseball last year, and they still almost blew it, as it turned out. I mean, they were lucky to win.
What about the previous 2 years? What about that he has the best managing record,
Because he's inherited a lot of great talent, but when push comes to shove, man, any given game, he can lose it.
Who was the best manager that you have ever seen in the years that you've been
Danny
following
Murtaugh.
baseball? Okay. Have you ever questioned the decision that Murtaugh has ever made?
Of course.
Okay.
But I didn't sit back and watch him day in and day out.
You're only upset because he pulled Dale Murphy, that's all.
Exactly.
That's true. A lot of people would like to pull Dale Murphy, but that's a whole program in itself.
Did you hear what he just said? What a disgusting, what a grotesque, even if it's true. Okay, Jim Loney's back with some of those exciting headlines. World News from 4. You're alive. Boy, that's frightening, man.
I live in Inverray. I'm barely alive, really, when I go to Publix and stuff. Want to welcome you back. When you went to New York, did you get a chance to listen to Howard Stern or drop in or anything?
Oh, I didn't go to New York City. I went to upstate. You can't pick it up way up there.
You can't pick it up there?
No, it's 500 miles away.
Okay, well, what I did is I visited up there about a year ago, and I was, because I visit Putnam Valley. I'm from Mount Vernon. And coming back, I listened to his show. I was coming on a flight, and you can hear him in Philadelphia also.
Yeah.
And he was doing some really nasty stuff about asking this woman about what she wears to bed, but I was just wondering if you caught his show or anything when you were up there.
I can't see.
Turn around.
Wait.
All right, here.
If you want me on the floor, I don't care.
Close your eyes, Jackie, because I know you'll pee.
Don't look.
Hey, how about open window?
Okay, we had to have a little Howard there just for nostalgia's sake.
It felt good. It felt good. I
I don't want to get into
thing.
that.
I got into the Calder, racetrack a lot, and you gave me a tip a long time ago. Okay, let's not say tip. Let's say information.
No, it wasn't information. That's the worst word you could use was information. I don't get information.
Okay. What you gave out to the public, there was Leo Castelli.
boy, did he kill me. I did everything I could to put it all on down him, and he killed me. It came in.
That's that Jose Santos, you know. He's got a bad sense of humor.
Well, what do you think of this horse coming up? I don't know if you want to talk about horse racing, but I need to ask you another question. What do you think of Yaguda? The horse Yaguda.
What do I think about him?
A couple of times I looked at him. He came in last, and then he's been moving up, and now he came in third the other day. You think he's coming up or something? It's somebody from work. They keep on mentioning him, and it's throwing me off. I don't know.
I had in fact, he won the second race one day. He won the double for me with Velez. I think that was his first start at Calder.
Oh.
Or maybe it was at Calder. But I haven't seen him run since then, so I'm not touting anymore.
Okay. On another thing, on the pick 6, I never knew how to bet that. How do you bet that? I don't know if it's I know it's from the third race to the 8th race.
What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you bet it?
Yeah, how do you bet? I don't. See, when I go to the races, I just don't bet. I'm not a gambler that much. I got a girlfriend that goes nuts, though, and she was interested in the pick 6, and I couldn't answer the question.
Okay. Okay, well, let me answer the question for you. When you go into track, on the walls, you will see little containers that have got cards in them for the pick 6.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
They're all over on every floor. And you take those cards, however many you want, and you have to pick a winner, and you mark a winner in each race from the 3rd through the 8th.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, okay.
Now, and it's $2 a ticket.
Okay. That's what she wanted to know to make it easy for her, because she thinks that she can do it, but it's pretty hard to do, picking all 6 and stuff.
Yeah, I have a tough time with the pick 1.
Are you going tomorrow?
Could be. I'll see.
Okay, because what do you stay? Because last time I heard, I was there the day you and Bill Calder were running for the Jockey Club. You mentioned that day on the radio.
The day we're running into the jockey's room. Yeah.
So I just haven't seen you yet. Been there after that, and I just trying to get the. I agreed with you this morning also on Miami. I can't believe that's going. I used to live in Perrine in '63, and it has totally changed. I moved up here, and it's moving up this way now. That I got to move on to Boca and. Where the hell are we going to go from there after we leave Boca?
Jacksonville.
No, I would never go there. It's too dead.
Yeah.
I would get out of state.
Okay, I'll see you at Calder.
All right, definitely. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now Spindell just came in and has handed me a card. We have an open line in each county, by the way. The callers obviously are going to fall off at this point. In Dade County, 624-9400. In Broward, 524-9400. Everybody and his brother has got the Glen Hill cackle. Has got another version of it, okay? And here is the new one. I'm not even going to audition at first. I'm going to take my life into my hands and trust Spindell. Not bad, huh? Not too bad. Okay, 12:13 at WINZ. Don't forget, one of the days this week, I'm not sure which day, we're going to have the Great Winds cackle off, and we're going to take all of the carts. In fact, maybe we ought to invite the listeners in the audience to do their own Glen Hill cackle and put it on a cassette, and we'll find some great prize to give away, like Stan Major or something. Okay, we have an open line in Broward, 524-9400. We'll go to Hollywood. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Good. I'm glad to be able to speak with you, Neil. I want to tell you, I had out-of-state guests, and the TV was on while we were chit-chatting, and the, how shall I say it, sort of a disclaimer or something came on regarding that there would normally be an advertisement. However, the corporation cannot advertise in Florida because of this new tax. And we went into quite a discussion. Have you seen those intermittently?
Yeah.
Isn't that embarrassing?
Well, that's typical of the whole state. That's the way we do everything. We love to drive people out. First we heard that, Florida was going to become second only to California in the movie industry. Mm-hmm. And we were, making some inroads. And not right away the governor puts his tax on, and it affects all of the services and just about every aspect of the industry. And, we're going to drive most of those people out.
Well, here in Hollywood, one of the major employers we have is the Diplomat Hotel because it hires so many and brought so many conventions in. And we had political figures and so forth.
Ancient history.
I know, exactly. And the cancellations are really cruel. We need these jobs. We need these visitors. Then, earlier you spoke about coming up the beach in Miami from 24th right on up past the Century Towers and all those, and then back into the poor, rundown areas. And then the beautiful site is Bal Harbor. Okay, Bal Harbor is a glorified, gorgeous retirement village. These people have worked and paid their dues, and they're retired. And they are not an active part politically. They will not solve problems. They're older people.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I was so happy to hear some of the young people who have called you. Of course, you had one young woman who was rather inane, but you've had some good comments, and if you should be able to have a program sometime with the young, productive people, perhaps 25 to 55 years of age, where possibly you could ask, what is it in their work area that they could, wish to have? And as far as their recreation time, what would they like to have? New ideas come from the young.
But wait a minute. I understand what you're saying, but when the area is doing its damnedest to drive all the young people out of here, what difference does it make?
Well,
No, let me give you two examples. It's not only the spring break in Fort Lauderdale, but here Barry Schreiber, who I think is probably the number one jackass in Dade County, Barry Schreiber is trying to, undo the Fair Housing Ordinance in Dade County, which has been in effect for 7 years or something like that now. What he wants to do is make exemptions so that we can discriminate and we can take in Dade and do just what they do in Broward and have all of these adult retirement communities and, turn it into another outdoor funeral parlor. We do everything in our power to discourage young people from staying here and everything in our power to, invite new dying people to come in here and turn it into a nursing home.
I understand. I agree. However, I'm hoping that there will be some young blood that will be politically motivated because we need a major issue that will be cohesive and bring them together with power and force.
Well, don't hold your breath.
Active, right?
Don't hold your breath.
Okay, now, very quickly, moving right along, the last good bit of publicity that I saw for this community, would you believe, was approximately 2 years ago at Christmas time when they had the yacht parade on the Intercoastal in Fort Lauderdale, and they taped it. And a week later, it was shown on national television, and it was so beautiful with the colored lights and these gorgeous yachts. People were in awe of it, and they say, gee, we must go down to Fort Lauderdale and see some of these things, and they feel they'd like to be part of it. And that's such a small item. We're doing things on the local level in a local way about sports. But if you were to say, what is it the people go to New Orleans for? They go for the Mardi Gras, and they go down to Bourbon Street. I know you spent some time there. What do they go to Chicago for? What do they go? We have to have one powerful major theme to bring people.
It's not going to happen, don't you understand? Because the powers that be in this community can't get together on what underwear they're going to wear that day, much less on some kind of theme for the whole community. It just isn't going to happen. It's like the Sports Authority and all the other attempts for Dade and Broward to get together. There is no cooperation here. It doesn't happen. And I appreciate your positive attitude and your enthusiasm and your blue sky that you've convinced yourself of, but it just isn't going to happen. And that's why casino gambling, while it wouldn't have been a panacea, would certainly, my God, all the jobs it would have created for young people and all the tourists it would have brought in here and all the activity and all the building and the renovation, just the jobs in the construction would have been incredible. All the people it would have put to work. And I realize, people think I'm obsessed with it, and the reason I was obsessed with it is because it made so much sense. You'd have to be a fool not to see. It would be like, people in Orlando saying to Walt Disney, no, we don't want you here, like the people in Dade County did a few years before. We don't want you here. You want too good of a deal. We don't want to give you all of that.
Absolutely. And it's
we have
sad.
to take a break.
We have to take a break?
But Mike Spindell is back. I had to do that to him. I couldn't. No, we do. It's 12:19, right? Didn't I write 19 on my log? Absolutely. No, I don't go to a restaurant and get a stale knish. I'm responsible for that, too. Everything bad that you have in your life to complain about, I'm responsible for.
I hear it all the time. I once did a shtick on the fact that I am not responsible for what goes on in the station, but people who know that I work here and speak to me during the week, they all have a complaint. Why is this one gone? Why is that one gone? I heard somebody the other day wanted to know why Larry Kent was gone.
I got news for you. Well, he couldn't fit in the building anymore. No, it's true. We couldn't get him in the door. But, no, seriously, people who listen to this radio station they ought to kiss the ground that we are as stable as we are. as they say on the backstretch at Calder. Whereas stable, I mean, yeah, we've had changes, but gradual changes. But like these other stations, man, you really have to keep a scorecard. And I guess it's appropriate with IOD because they are the sports station.
Yeah,
so it's appropriate the audience ought to have a scorecard and keep erasing names and penciling in new ones.
What do they call them, the Mount St. Helens of radio?
Exactly.
There's always an eruption there. That clock is ticking again, I heard. Must have fixed it.
No, Stan fixed it, and it was 2 minutes slow. Stan has gotten his finger into everything in this building.
So to speak.
Well, there's, yeah. Boy, what a great line that is. Everything except what he wanted to. But, no, he's really had an influence on this talk studio. There's no question about that.
Certainly is. I mean, we have the
Did you hear that last
Pillars
lady
of
who
Hercules?
was... I mean, her intentions were good, but boy, is she living in a dream world or what?
The best thing was the regatta, and it was the... Yeah. That's a little bit of a sued aspect of it. But the thing that's bizarre is people are blaming the messenger.
See, I like...
For the message. They're doing it again.
The lights on the Metro Rail. You know, there's about 3 yards on the downtown, 3 yards where there are fluorescent lights with the different colors. And you notice that when they take photographs, like the Chamber of Commerce, all these promotional things, they photograph not the grungy part of the Metro Rail with all the graffiti and with those weeds growing up or whatever they have on the side of the pillars and, you know, and the little trains with nobody on them. They always photograph the neon lights that are about 3 yards long. In fact, the Miami High Life spot, which has been, got to be 3-4 years now that spot's been running, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. At least. The one with the beautiful girls and the salsa beat to the musical bit, sure.
This is the new Miami, and
That's
I wonder
right.
what Miami they're looking at, man, because it looks pretty interesting, pretty exciting.
Downtown
Is that Miami, Ohio?
Absolutely.
Must be.
You know, I will have to say one thing, and when Stan comes in here, there was an article in today's paper saying that the ratings for Miami Vice have gone up considerably locally, and they're showing vintage Vice from 2 years ago.
Where did he read that? I just read that Miami Vice last week wasn't in the top 25 in this market.
All right, but in today's local newspaper, the Fish Wrapper...
Well, don't believe anything they put in.
Absolutely, and they're going back to what they call the vintage episodes, the older episodes for the first and second season, which Stan was just
why
crying
can't
and
the
getting
people
crazy
in New
about.
York have a good paper like the Herald, you know? Why have they got to put up with a communist rag like the New York Times?
Yeah,
with
blaming
all
the
that
hot
propaganda.
Times. Well, you know that the whole reason is because New York is not a beautiful place. It's filthy. It's dirty. It's got Puerto Ricans there. That's what I heard on the air yesterday. The fact that and they are picking on Miami because they have problems in New York. Not understanding the fact that this is a national newspaper.
I heard it, yeah. The New York Times, of course, the national edition goes all over the country. And as I said yesterday, we're still getting response for so far from the ad we put in the New York Times 2 months ago. The Times far outdistance any other publication that we put an ad in.
It's just like the rap job that the L.A. Times did on the Miami Herald when they exposed it for what it is, a bunch of panderers.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, they don't like the message, and then they start saying, and all the folks get, they don't like people bashing Miami, and they were saying that you're one of the major perpetrators to that, saying terrible things about it. No, it's just exposing the problem, and these people who are being quoted in the paper don't realize that the problem still exists in a perception.
It's very easy for greedy people to sit back and fill their pockets and to be oblivious to all the things that are going on around them. And I said in the opening hour today, it doesn't make a big difference to me if we have casino gambling or if the hotels go out of business or they all become condos, or other than the fact that I would like to live, and I think you probably would, in a community where that's happening, where there's a lot of activity and where we have, you know, all the big league sports and the theater and all kinds of things to do, and living and breathing place.
What they talk about, paranoid anti-communism. Coming 2 days after the Herald ran a story about Carollo, who wants to support an amendment. No communists can come down to South Florida. Oh, I guess maybe the good communists, the one that Ali is talking to, the Polish, and, of course, the Chinese, who are selling all kinds of industry to.
But we can have Nazis come down.
Well, that's true. That's true. And, of course, he'll be here
I
in
heard that
September.
when the Pope comes, he's bringing Kurt Waldheim. I heard they're going on tour together.
The Pope tour. I could just see that the Marlins going to do the jackets for it.
Dan Slade just came back from Europe, and he said that he was in St. Peter's Square, and they were selling, this is the truth, they were selling popsicles.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the popsicles on a stick with a picture of the Pope's face.
And do you suck on it?
In St. Peter's Square. You suck on the popsicle, exactly.
Unbelievable. Well, listen, I have to depart.
Very,
I'm going to check the front desk to see if my literature, otherwise I'm going to do a poll tomorrow on the positive, negative.
Positive, negative.
Positive,
exactly.
We'll get that one out.
I'm calling Lassiter as soon as I get off the air and tell him you're ripping him off again.
Well, call him first before he calls you.
No, I don't want to get depressed.
Have a good day.
Have a great life. Mets are bounce back, believe me. By this time in 2 weeks, there'll be only 8 games out. You watch. Okay, there he goes, Mr. Mets. He's a little bit depressed, but if you've been watching the Mets lately, you can understand it. Kendall, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to comment on what you were talking about a year ago.
Yeah, I had a show 2 years ago that was incredible, and I'm going to take some calls on that in the next hour.
Wonderful. Listen, when I left Miami the first time, the thing to do was to go down to Collins Avenue and to walk 4 and 5 deep, and sometimes have to step out onto the street for the numbers of people around the castaways.
Yeah, just like it is now, sure. Of course, you have to climb over the fence first now.
Right. The wall.
The wall, exactly.
You know, it's a real paradox, this city. Can you just think about what a paradox this is? Think of all the people who came here by train and car and plane, boats, and
Yeah.
When I came back from overseas, I couldn't wait because I had to observe the customs and speak the languages overseas of the many countries I was in, to cut back to America, to get down and kiss the ground, and to get back to my native home, Miami.
There's a very significant point that a lot of people miss when it comes to immigration and it comes to this melting pot concept, and that is that it has to happen simultaneously. And in the early part of the century, we had this big, as you know, you had this big flood of immigration, and we had all of these people, going to work in the sweatshops and, doing their thing. And over a period of generations, those people become Americanized, and the culture evolves. But when it happens at a different time, then it disrupts the whole evolution of the culture. Do you follow what I'm saying? I'm not saying it very well, but the point is that when all of a sudden you have this tremendous waves of immigration after we've developed a certain culture in society, and now all of a sudden we have all of this conflict of ethnicity and culture, like all these people, who want to go out and do Santeria and Hialeah and so on, then what you've got is it's insanity, and that's what we got in South Florida. This is a perfect example of it.
The director of the INS just woke up the day before yesterday and realized that Florida didn't have all these farms for all these people who are registered as farm workers from other countries.
Yeah.
And listen, Neil, you've missed the whole point of the Channel 10 logo song. This is the new Miami. You have to listen to the accent. It is the new Miami. It's not the United States, but it's a new Miami.
Hasta luego.
Right.
Hasta luego.
Okay, have a wonderful life, sir. See you in Calcutta. 1231 at WINZ. We have an open line in Dade. 624-9400 North Miami Beach. Hello.
Hello, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. I have a legitimate gripe. I wish I could talk about it sometimes. I happen to be a handicapped person, and I'm able to drive a car. I cannot walk too well. Matter of fact, hardly. I use 2 canes. The thing that gripes me is when I see people who have the authorized tag for handicapped people and are permitted to park in a handicapped space. And I watch them get out of the car, walk away, they come back as if nothing was wrong with them, and they have a tag. My gripe is this to the...
So in other words, the prerequisite ought to be that they're either in a wheelchair or they have to crawl on their hands and knees, right? Okay, good call. 28 before 1 at WINZ. We have an open line in Dade, 624-9400. And let's go to a payphone in the Galleria. Hello.
Douchebag.
Very good. That was excellent. Very good. I can't believe Glenn called in on his day off. Plantation, hello.
Hey, that was worth 25 cents.
Exactly. Well, he's at the Galleria. It affects your mind, when you stand around alone for that long.
Yeah. Hey, didn't you know the Miami Tropics are part of the new Miami?
That's probably true. Big secret.
Hey, I was wondering if you ever got my postcard from Chicago, from Wrigley Field.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you mention it, so I was just...
Well, listen, I mean, we have a lot of valuable time on this show. We can't waste it with trivia.
With that garbage.
Exactly.
I'm proud of your Pirates that day.
What did they do?
They destroyed the Cubs.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Yeah,
every dog has his day.
They look like a real ball team out there.
Yeah.
Now they could probably beat the Rochester Red Wings.
Don't get carried away.
Okay. Hey, I was wondering, when is the FM going to talk?
Adios.
Spanish talk is what I meant.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Well, we already have Spanish talk.
Yeah,
no,
I don't know if those ratings can go down much further. That they got to do something.
Well, a book is going to be out on Tuesday, the spring rating book, and of course everybody here is, in fact, it's kind of amusing because everybody's been in management, upper level and middle level. We got so many levels, layers of management, and they've all been kind of like in limbo. They're waiting. And of course, Tuesday morning at about 9 o'clock, I just know they're all going to be hovering around that computer. And then when the book comes out, it's going to be pretty interesting to look at those FM numbers.
Is that the new format?
It could be. In fact, in this market, that could be big. We'd call it Death Radio.
That could work.
God's Waiting Room. WGWR. God's Waiting Room.
I like it.
Yeah.
Got potential.
We could put life to sleep.
Hey, could you imagine Mike Spindell in the hospital? Well, God forbid, but let's, just as an example, say he's, minor operation, nothing major, and
a brain transplant, just something minor.
Something minor like that. And standing over him, ready to do the operation, as a newly trained brain surgeon is Jesse Orozco.
Excellent. With Darryl Strawberry as his backup.
Yeah, would that be good?
That would be excellent. Well, Mike would deserve it. He's been sticking with them through thick and thin. And
hey, I'm a Mets fan, but I don't even watch it anymore. I get so frustrated.
Well, they don't have very many games on now. We're getting really screwed now, those of us who have cable, because they have all of these sports networks that keep ripping off all of the games from these New York teams.
And now,
very, very grim.
You have to listen to the games.
No, I'll pass. I can't handle Bob Murphy.
Yeah?
Bob Murphy was never any good, but now that he's about 120 years old, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I tried to listen to some of the games, but,
One thing about New York, they have the best of everything. People from New York think that as long as it's in New York, it's the greatest. Like all those great New York sportscasters like Phil Rizzuto and Bill White and Spencer Ross and Ralph Kiner. Oh, I mean, it's desperate.
They need to get rid of Kiner and Murphy. Gary Thorne is all right.
He's not too bad. Well, he sounds real good because he's next to Murphy, so he sounds much better than he really is.
I guess anybody could sound good next to Murphy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I left the country farm. I just thought I'd tell you that. Their history.
Yeah.
On to bigger and better things.
Okay. Well, listen, have a great life.
Wonderful life, and we'll see you at the Red Wings game.
Okay. I'll see you at Silver Stadium. 24 before 1 at WINZ. In fact, in the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to be doing a tribute to Rochester. In Broward, we have an open line now, 524-9400, and we'll come right back.
The following is a special...
22 before 1 at WINZ, and let's go to Miami next. Hello.
Neil?
Yes?
I just wanted to tell you I read the article in the New York Times magazine section.
Where did you get it?
I went over to the newsstand and bought it.
Oh, they've got it already?
Well, they have the, part of the Times. They have the book review and the travel section and the magazine section. That was all I was interested in. It cost me almost $3 to get it.
Boy, you're really a big spender.
But it's interesting. It's the same thing they've been saying, but the one thing that they always say is how great it was before 1980. And, after 1980 is when it really got bad.
Well, what they're talking about, and they don't want to say it, is the Mariel boat lift.
Right, but before 1980, was it so great?
No.
Oh.
No, it was, I came here in 1976, and there were still remnants of greatness. It was still, the full decay had not set in. But I think that probably the 50s and 60s were the heyday for this town.
Yeah, I was here then in the 50s. But I wanted to tell you about the one full-color picture they ran with the story. It says, opposite page, supporting the Nicaraguan Contras, Cuban boats have shifted Florida to the right. There's a picture of some Cubans standing here, and they're carrying a sign that says, the Cubans were the first freedom fighters. Did you know that? The first freedom fighters.
Well, if that's the case, our advice to the Contras is don't buy a house.
Really? I wanted to say I agree with you on spring break. They've ruined that. We should have had gambling. I don't know what's wrong.
Didn't we just last Thursday celebrate the bicentennial of the Constitution?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to the American revolutionaries? Whatever happened to those freedom fighters, or don't they count?
No, they don't count.
Oh,
it says right here in the paper.
Okay. Well, if it says it in the paper, then it must be true.
Listen, I wanted to say something about Iran. I haven't heard this, although maybe you have. I don't listen too much, but I have been listening to you quite a bit lately. I kind of feel that that none of this has to do with humanitarian reasons or help for the Contras or help for the hostages. I just felt that he promised the arms manufacturers that he would sell their wares because they put him in power. And so he said, I'm going to sell for you, and I'll do it any way I can, even though he thought Congress would say okay, and we could sell them the stuff. But they didn't, so he had to figure out some way to do it. Does that make sense to you?
No.
No? It doesn't? I thought that was the reason.
Hasta luego.
18 before 1 at WINZ. Let's go to Miami Beach. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. Good afternoon, I guess now. It was morning when I started. I disagree with you. There is some redeeming value in Miami. There's something...
Well, I didn't say there wasn't any redeeming value. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, well, I like Coconut Grove. It's a fun place to go. I was born here. I've lived here all my life, except for while I was in the service. And I still look forward to coming back here whenever I travel. It still feels like home. There's something that Miami has that...
But that's true of wherever you live. No matter where you live, when you go on vacation, for example, and you come back home, there is something...
Well, that's probably
There's
true.
an intangible about coming home.
Yeah, I'll grant you.
That's true everywhere.
But I don't know, I like the city, there's something about it. There's a vitality here.
Wait a minute, there's a vitality?
Yeah, I think so.
Boy, I'm dismayed that you would use that word, because if there's one thing that's lacking here, it's vitality. This is like a laid-back, vegetating, and maybe it's the heat and the humidity.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
I've noticed that since I first came here, boy. It's that's why I use that term brain dead.
Well, maybe that's not the right word, vitality.
No, vitality is not the word.
Something interesting.
Try another one.
The place. Let's see, exotic, or it's different. You can find different things.
It's different, yeah.
Different people.
The rules are different, and the town is different.
For nationalities, and you can find different kinds of foods here and everything. Of course, it probably doesn't compare with New York, being a lot bigger city and everything. But of course, I've never.
Well, when you say you can find different kinds of food here, I'm not so sure I understand what that means. I mean, you can go to Little Havana and get black beans and rice, but in Sarasota you can go to the Columbia restaurant and get black beans and rice, and you can find 80 Chinese restaurants, and you can find French restaurants, and you can find German restaurants in Sarasota. And Sarasota is a little town.
And Belgium restaurants.
Yeah.
Or whatever, Finnish, or
Greek.
whatever they're called, and
Finnish.
Finnish, right?
Yeah, I think that was the word. Got a caller on a mobile phone on Saturday. Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
I would like to tell all those people that voted against casino gambling that it's their fault that we have that additional tax on services.
Right.
Because I think that would have never even been mentioned if you had casino gambling. I have a relative who is in the boat brokerage business, and I believe what he's going to have to do now is charge not only sales tax on the same boat every time it gets sold over and over and over, allowing the state to collect several times on the same item, but he's also going to have to charge a tax on his service, so the customer will be double taxed.
Great.
Isn't that illegal?
Great.
Double taxation?
Yeah. Well, maybe we need another Boston Tea Party.
Jeez.
And I know who
Someone
can lead it. Do we have Gail Stewart's phone number?
Who?
The tea lady.
Huh?
We have a special tea lady here at Wynn's. We're going to hire her back to have another revolt.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know, but a lot of people are just sitting back thinking that someone else is going to do something about this tax, but it's absurd, ridiculous.
Well, listen, it's Governor Martinez that you talk about the people voting against casino gambling. They voted for this Neanderthal. He was a loser in Tampa. He's a major loser in Tallahassee now. He's an unmitigated disaster. and what they wanted is what they got. You know, these things don't happen by osmosis. You see, it's very easy to sit back and always blame the politicians, but who is it that keeps putting the Barry Schreibers and the George Valdezes and the Bob Martinezes into office? It's the electorate that goes out and picks these people.
Well, it's those old bags on the beach.
Exactly. Okay, good luck to you, sir. Barry goes up there into Point East or wherever, all those condos, and he does his little Kazatsky, and he wears his yarmulke, and he schmoozes with everybody and eats lots of knishes, and everybody kvells from him, and they all run out, and that's all it takes. And the man, I said it to an earlier caller, and I want to go on record. I mentioned this earlier. I retract my statement from yesterday. Sergio Pereira is not Dade County's #1 asshole. Barry Schreiber is. I mean, it's not even a contest. How could I have forgotten? And I noticed nobody has anything to say about the fact that he would like to pass this resolution, which would amend the Fair Housing Ordinance to permit some exceptions so that we can have these adult-only retirement communities in Dade County. We can have 80th-century villages in Dade County. Fort Lauderdale, hello.
Santeria in Hialeah.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Adios.
How are you? Adios already?
No, that was just a preview of things to come.
Oh, okay, well, let me know. I just returned from Chicago, had a fabulous time, and there was so much going on there, and I can really apply the word vitality to the people there, and in fact, they all looked like they were on speed. And then I suddenly realized it's because they all have someplace to go and something to do.
Yeah.
We wander around here, we get up, we think, what the hell am I going to do today? And that's the difference. And they're so proud of what's happening there, and they're building so many new buildings, and they're revitalizing an area. When I grew up, I mean, you wouldn't even think of going there, and the townhouses now are selling for between $250,000 to $500,000 in this neglected area that, well, it's just unreal. They had Bastille Day and Taste of Food in the Park and all kinds of things, and it really made me stop and think. And as the man said, when you come home, or you said rather, when you do come home, at first everything looks great, and that lasted less than 24 hours with me. And I just drove up to the market after I got home to get some orange juice and things from the morning, and I was seated in my car, had the keys to my car in my hand, and a nice Cuban lady came along and took the whole front end off of my sports car. So I thought, well, it's less than 24 hours. I'm home. There goes the
Hasta luego.
I'm sick. So I'm right back in the same frame of mind that I want to move again, and I'm quite sure I'm going to.
You know, again, it sounds like ethnic bashing, which it's not. But I'm going to say it again. I'm not talking about what you said, but what I'm saying, and I want to reiterate it. This business about the Cubans made this area and all of this other garbage is the worst lie that anyone could tell. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And the fact that there was that much of an influx permitted, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, you name it, to come in to such a small geographical area in such a short period of time has been devastating. I don't know if we're ever going to recover from it, which, basically is the essence of the article that this guy wrote in the Times. Is Miami ever going to come back? Can we survive?
I don't think we are, because what I noticed in Chicago, they have a lot of Mexicans, a lot of Puerto Ricans. I went to Greek Town and had wonderful Greek food. And, they have ethnicity there also, but not at all like we see down here. And of course, a lot of black mayor, or so forth. But everybody just seems to get along. They hold the door open when they see you running for an elevator. Here, it's almost with glee that they let it shut, and there's a stand with shopping bags in your hand, and everyone's polite. And I don't think that they're going to ever create this feeling of warmth, and they don't care. They've taken it over. They want it, and as far as I'm concerned, they can have it. I'm sorry to have to give up on it. I've been here over 20 years, but I really can't take it anymore.
And I had a caller the other day who debated the fact that this thing is spread into Plantation, and I don't know where this individual is hanging out, but if you go into Broward Mall into some of the shops, you hear some of the help babbling away in Espanol, and you know, it's just a matter of time. You know, in the old days when immigration was the kind of immigration I was talking about before, there were ethnic neighborhoods. There were a few blocks, maybe a square mile or a few blocks that were Italian, and another area that was Jewish or Polish or whatever it was. But this immigration has been so uncontrolled and so out of hand that it's sweeping over the entire area. And we have another culture and another mindset and a whole other world that's come in here and just devastated and completely turned around what this area used to be.
I totally agree. I want to tell you about my one date. Well, my cousin used to be married to this man. He's a jeweler, and he's Jewish, and he sells beads. And so behind his back, I'd call him Juju Bead. But, I mean, I know that was terrible, but he deserved it. He deserved a lot more.
Oh.
When you hear what I tell you, I stayed with a girlfriend the whole time I was there, so I was very fortunate. Very cheap vacation for me. We went out to one of the loveliest hotels there and had dinner, and my friend came along. And after a lovely dinner, this man picked up the napkin, blew his nose in the napkin.
Oh.
After we got home, I said to my girlfriend, her name is Gay, and I call her Gazy, and her middle name is Leon, so her mother must have been all messed up. I don't know, but anyway.
Her middle name is Leon?
Her middle name. Gay Leon.
What? Gay Leon?
Gay Leon.
Oh, I think I know him.
Well, I said, Gazy, did you see that? She said, Donna, you must be nuts. It had to have been a handkerchief. I said, well, I'll know tomorrow. The following evening, I went out with him again. I'm a glutton for punishment. And we went to a Greek restaurant. Thank God they had red napkins. Now I was alone with this man, and he was just so obnoxious at this point. I knew I wanted to get home, but I really didn't take that much money with me because I just had a little bag. You put lipstick and a handkerchief, one of those things.
Uh-huh.
True. And so I ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, moussaka. And he sent his food back. He was nothing would please him. And at the end of the dinner, he picked up the red napkin, and I knew that I had been right all along. And they all know him there. I mean, he must be a big spender. And he blew his nose in the napkin again. This was a first for me. It was the only distasteful thing that happened to me the entire time I was there.
So it's a great place to visit, but don't hang around with that guy. Okay, well, listen.
Adios.
6 minutes before 1 at WYNZ. We have an open line in Broward, 524-9400. We have an hour and 6 minutes to go, and for some bizarre reason, it's flying by here today, but I know in that last hour, we'll probably make up for it.
America, you sure have a thing.
By saying, I'm a gun owner, and I've had a concealed weapons permit for about the last 10 years because of the kind of business that I'm in. But he has an idea that if everybody carried a gun on their side, that we would reduce crime. And I think it's a really unrealistic idea of his, because I think the one thing that he doesn't have in mind, and this is a personal experience, my brother-in-law was shot in the back 4 weeks ago after a traffic incident, and now he's paralyzed from the waist down. If he would read some of the statistics of accidental gun injuries and just from flare-ups of temper and domestic violence, and that ends with a gunshot.
Did you see the story, one of the most tragic stories I've ever seen, about the vendor in Miami a couple of days ago?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And this guy was closing up his little vending shop and getting ready to go home, and a friend of his was standing there, and the guy carried a gun on him, the vendor.
Right.
And his friend, as a joke, came up behind him and said, this is a stick-up or something like that, and he put his finger in his back like he had a gun, and the guy turned around and blew his friend away.
Absolutely.
Thought it was a stick-up and killed him.
I mean, you read about it every single day in the paper. You read about one tragedy after another, and to think that to have everybody carrying a weapon, is just ridiculous. You can run away from a club, you can run away from a knife, you can run away from a stick, but it's very difficult to run away from a maniac with a gun. That's one shot can just ruin your life.
Well, you said maniac, and that's staying. So what can I tell you? Okay.
Thanks a lot, Neil. I enjoy your show.
Thanks for calling. By the way, people in Century Village, of course, are up in arms in Pembroke Pines about this latest crime wave, and they're asking for more security. And they have a very unique way. They're not into this violent business either because they don't want to see any innocent bystander get blown away. So they're arming themselves with Sweet and Low at Century Village. And this probably, we owe an apology, I would think, to a lot of these folks because this is what happens. If you have enough packs in your purse, what you do is when you see trouble coming, you open them up, and in a flutter of pink, these people are blinded and shocked, and it gives you ample time to hobble away. So it works out very well. Hollywood, hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes.
How are you?
Okay.
After many years of research, they finally came out with a way to avoid AIDS.
Let's go to Hollywood. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
I just wanted to call and I wanted to touch on a couple of points. I've lived here all my life and I love it down here. And I agree with you, though, that there are just so many people out to destroy what we have here.
Like the last caller. You can tell about 70% of the time on these shows, if the voice is old and crotchety sounding, it's going to be, a disaster. It's going to be some bitter, I didn't even let him finish, but somebody who just wants to take a miserable shot at the whole human race.
Yeah. Well, the shot I want to take is that,
Go ahead, sir.
That Dick Mayor Cox, if I can say that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Because that's the way I feel about him. I read about 3 years ago, I read in the paper, just before all this, before they killed off the spring break, I started reading where a lot of the more influential people that lived there on the Strip were starting to complain to the council and to Mayor Cox. And, the thing that gets me is those people, they were complaining that they were having a hard time getting into their parking spots and their condominiums and so forth. And those people, I believe those people are behind the reason why Mayor Cox is doing what he's doing. Those same people that bought that property there on the beach so they could, when they were a little bit younger, so they could look at the young, hard bodies, have gone impotent now, and now they're more concerned about whether or not they can park their cars.
Yeah. All they want to look at is old soft bodies.
Yeah, well, yeah. They don't even care anymore. They just want to get in and out of their parking spot. But no, that's about it. I just wanted to, tell you, just let you know how I felt about Mayor Cox.
Well, he's a relic of the past and a real Neanderthal. And the fact that he's the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, I think, says it all. He's a throwback to the Dark Ages, and that's exactly what he and his cohorts have managed to do. And between them and the fascist Gestapo police up there, boy, they've really done a great number. Isn't it amazing that an area that always had all that good free press, all that free publicity from the movie Where the Boys Are and all those other, movies about Fort Lauderdale, and the general image of spring break, only because, we were lucky enough to have the natural geographical attribute. Nobody did anything special to create it. It just happened to be there. Isn't it amazing how they've been able in just a couple of quick years to destroy the whole thing?
Yeah, well,
blow it out of the water.
Well, it doesn't take long to kill a rose,
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Have a nice weekend. Hollywood, hello.
Good morning.
Hi.
Or afternoon, whatever.
Whatever it is, man.
Just made my day.
Okay.
They had Pope popsicles.
Yeah.
Because one time when I was a widow at 24, my husband died during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And I accidentally dated this person that had been a dropout priest. He had been in the seminary or whatever it is they have about 5 years and almost lost his mind, so he got out of it. But he told me that they taught them oral genital sex to protect the nuns, and so I think that Pope popsicles are just great.
Okay, ma'am.
How about that?
Okay, well, we'll certainly give the Archbishop your highest regards. 113 at WYNZ. We have an open line in Dade now, 624-9400. And we'll go to Pompano. Hello.
Yes, Neil.
Yes.
Listening to you for the past 6 weeks, I think you're doing a great show.
Absolutely.
Okay. A friend of mine, I got him listening for the first time. He loves Madonna, and I wanted him to hear your comments about her.
Well, I mean, what is there to say? I mean, she's a slut, a sleazebag, disgusting, vulgar, grotesque. What is there to say? Not to mention is hairy and probably smells bad.
Not much more, I guess.
But I will say this, that when she hooked up with Sean Penn, that was a match made in heaven.
That's true.
2 eternal sleazebags.
Okay, one more thing. Could you play a song for me?
Well, it all depends. If it's Madonna, forget it.
Oh, no.
You can call Stan. He'll play Madonna.
That's for sure. How about Ollie Be Good for everybody who hasn't had their fill about the Contra hearings?
Oh, yeah, I'll have to dig around for that. I haven't played that yet. Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
See you later. Yeah, Stan will play Madonna. In fact, you notice that almost all of the songs that Stan plays, except for I Want to Be Don Johnson and that long terminal Elvis cut, that live album, are female, whether it's ABBA or Madonna. See, I like music because it sounds good. Whether it's male, female, whether it's a group, makes no difference to me. I like it because it sounds good. I like the sound and the beat, whatever. Stan, of course, likes it only because it is a fantasy or is an accessory to a fantasy. Although how anybody could fantasize about Madonna beats the hell out of me. I don't understand it. Surfside, hello.
Hello.
Oh, very good. From Surfside, no less. Shame on you, honey. Wash your mouth out with Clorox. Stan comes on at 2 o'clock, okay? Miami Shores, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I believe that last lady.
She was good, wasn't she?
Yeah, real talented.
Good head on her shoulders.
Yeah, literally. I moved down here in '66, and back in those days, Miami was a really fun town. They had a lot of things going for young people. They used to have, in the late '60s, they had love-ins in Grinnell's Park on the weekends. You know, they had a place called The Image that had live music. You know, like big bands used to come down there, like The Doors and Led Zeppelin and bands like that. And I think personally, in 1970, after Jim Morrison did his famous masturbating on stage act at the Dinner Key Auditorium, they had this big decency rally in the Orange Bowl, and Jackie Gleason, may he rest, was involved in that. And I think that actual incident could have been the beginning of the end, because that's when all the righteous people came out of the closet and decided they were going to trash the freewheeling image of Miami and turn it into this uptight town, and it's just slid that way ever since.
Well, I'll tell you another one of the real turning points, and this is a little bit pre-1980 when everybody claims the the demarcation line was when the Anita Bryant business went on here in 1977.
Yeah.
That really focused national spotlight on this town, and it made this look like a real repressive, right-wing, backwards. You know, it really focused a lot of negativity on this town. And the guy who called earlier about Fort Lauderdale being such a contradiction, and I've said that for years. On the one hand, we want to, do all these PR campaigns and have the posters with the half-naked women and so on, and the sun and fun and all of that. But on the other hand, we don't want to have that here. In other words, we want to peddle a good image to everybody else to sucker them into coming here. But then when they get here, we don't want anything going on.
Exactly.
Just like spring break.
It's one thing to say this is what we're all about, but if you try to live it, watch how fast they slam you down.
You got it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Neil, I've been listening to you for a while now, and I really enjoy it. And, thanks for being there. Keep it up.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
118 at WINZ. Of course, Jim Morrison is doing his thing on Zeta several times each hour, so if you're one of those Jim Morrison fans, I do like the Doors. I have all their albums and all of that, but, how many times can you hear L.A. Woman in 1 hour, right? Okay, we have one open line. It's in Dade County, 624-9400. Stan Major is in the room.
Hi, honey.
And he's smoking one of those Dominican suppositories that he received yesterday. Kyle, by the way, tells me that the whole building is now infested with the smoke, and they've actually got him a little smoke eater up there. Not really a smoke eater, it's a noise machine. Remember the one we had in here? Well, this one makes 3 times the amount of noise that one did.
That's good. He won't be able to hear us.
Well, in the case of your show, he figures that's a public service.
Yeah.
So what do you have lined up for us today? Well, let me take my break first, and then we'll come back. Because I see you've got a lot of spots in here today. You may not have much of a show.
Listen, I have a nothing show when I don't have any commercials.
Well, I didn't want to be the one to say it. Okay, 119 at WINZ. When we come back, Stan is going to preview. How were the frogs last night, by the way? They should have been really wild because it was pouring cats and dogs.
I found them.
Oh, did you find them?
I found them.
Did you get rid of them?
No, but I'm going to be open to ideas.
Okay. In fact, that's going to be the whole show today, probably.
No, it is not.
Hey, listen, you got a microwave. Okay, we'll come back right after this. A sister of the man who was shot in the back. Oh, this is going to really be something. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, it was my brother who got shot in the back.
Boy.
And he was in a traffic altercation is what they called it. This guy was weaving in and out of traffic and cutting everybody off. My brother had gotten his license tag number to report him for, because you can do that. And my brother had passed him, and that's when he shot him in the back.
Unbelievable.
Okay, now this guy is out, and he owns 3 guns. My brother doesn't own a gun. My brother is now paralyzed from the waist down. But this guy is out walking around and owns 3 guns. You see what I mean? It's it's crazy. And I don't think the answer is to run away from what's happening here. Because all we're doing is giving in. It's like what we need to do is not fight. I'm against violence. But if we let them take over Miami, how far does it go from here?
Well, we need to scream bloody murder. We need to make some noise. And the first thing we need to do is, bring out the truth. And maybe this article that's coming out in the Times tomorrow, if nothing else, at least it'll focus attention on it again, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's corrupt all over the place. And besides that, teaching our children morals. What kind of morals are they learning when they see the government is, denying, and stuff like this, I mean, I think that they learn and they, children are really brilliant. And they're not going to, it's like when they say, do as I say, not as I do, you got to show them that, that there's morals. But what are we showing them as far as the government, as far as everything? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So these kids, they have deniability to begin with because they try and test you and, and stuff. But now it's even worse. Even when I was growing up, it wasn't this bad. But I have a young daughter and, but the thing is, the last American, please bring the flag. Where to? How far do we run?
Okay. Hang in there.
I will. And my brother happens to be doing great, but I'll tell you, it's really a shame because it's, it's like this guy is out and walking around and, he has 3 guns and who knows what can happen. It's like, where does it all end or where can we begin without violence?
Okay, I appreciate hearing from you, dear.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
25 past 1 at WINZ. We have 2 open lines now. They're both in Dade. 624-9400. I have a feeling it's going to be quite a Stan Major show this afternoon. Why don't you just keep his mic off the whole show? That's all. Is he upset? You don't know. You don't care, do you? Good. Okay. I don't know. Everybody is so uptight around here lately. They're just all uptight. I mean, they were ripping me yesterday from what he just tells me. I didn't even hear it. Him and Tweety Bird were ripping me because I've been such a pussycat since I came back from vacation. Could have fooled me. Miami Beach, hello.
Hello, Neil. How are you?
Good.
Listen, can I talk about the ignoramus on WIOU?
No. Margate, hello.
Yes, Neil, how you doing?
Good.
Neil, I was wondering when the Pope's coming down.
You were wondering?
Yeah.
Why, did you want to buy him some underwear or something?
I want to go down and see him, of course.
September 12th.
He's got a lot of power, doesn't he?
September 12th.
Okay, September 12th. Okay, you going to go down and see him?
No.
Oh, why not?
I have to go to the track that day.
Well, how often do you see an important man like that, though?
An impotent man like that?
Yeah.
Well, the president's going to be here at the same time, so we'll see 2 impotent men.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Together, yeah.
I see him. Thanks.
Okay, good luck to you, sir. I hope you enjoy your popesicle. Miramar, hello. Miramar. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, this is Neil.
Yeah.
This is
Hollywood, not Miramar.
Okay, well, that's close.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, glad to have you back, Neil. Okay, on the, you could play that I-95 song for that young lady, the one, not the last one, but the one before. They only had a couple words to say.
Oh, I dumped it.
Well, it was on the radio. I heard it.
No, it wasn't on the radio.
It
You heard it on the phone.
Oh, okay, maybe so. Okay, Neil, I talked to you quite a while back about having some tapes from your old shows that you could play on the radio.
Yeah.
Are you still going to do that?
Yeah, next time I go on vacation. In fact, they're taping all the shows now so that next time I go on vacation, we don't have to have Ollie North hearings on.
Uh-huh. Did you see Howard up there when you went up to New York?
No. I wasn't in New York City.
Oh, I see. Rochester, then.
Right, which is a long way from the city.
Okay, I got one here for you. Okay, you know all the people in the market, you know, like yourself and everything? You know, they're taking polls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you could take one for Uncle Ollie, and we'll call it the North Pole. That's kind of dry.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to be there.
Okay. Appreciate listening to your show, Neil. See you at Galleria.
Okay.
Bye-bye now.
Good luck to you, sir. Have a wonderful life. We have a couple open lines in Broward now. In fact, all the Broward lines just opened up. 524-9400. 524-9400. Everything was coasting along, and then Major came in, and we seem to have had a major altercation here in the last couple of minutes. And I don't know what's going on, but I'm just very pleased. I'm ready to kiss the ground or even the Pope's ring that in 32 minutes I'm going to be long gone out of here. Miami, hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. It's great to have you back. Neil, you were earlier on, you know, ragging about Delta, and I wanted to tell you that my husband is in the airline business, stationed here out of Miami, and he told me that 2 or 3 days ago an incident was not reported in the newspaper or on the TV. He doesn't know how it ever got through, but he told me this incident where there was a Delta had a 767 leaving from California to New York, and not too far out into the flight, one of the engines went out, and a 767 only has 2 engines. So naturally, pilots are told immediately when an engine goes out, you fly to the nearest airport. Well, would you believe what this pilot did? He flew from California all the way to New York with 1 engine. And when he landed in New York and his feet hit terra firma, he was fired on the spot, but that never got out. Can you imagine him endangering the lives of all those people?
How'd you like the one who shut off both engines? And,
but I mean...
and the plane dropped to within a few hundred feet of the ocean? That must have been a real uplifting experience.
My husband says that, you know, the scuttlebutt, you know, among the pilots, they cannot believe, of course, they all contributed to very poor training. But I think, I mean, I couldn't, when he told me that story, I just couldn't believe a 7-year-old child would have had better judgment. And they're told immediately in training, if that ever, I mean, whether you have 3 engines, 4 engines, or whatever, immediately fly to the next destination. Immediately. This fellow's through, 3,000 miles to New York with a load full of people on that airplane?
Yeah. Well, you notice all the comment we've had about this. I brought it up yesterday briefly, and then I mentioned it again today a couple of times, and nobody cares about it. Oh. And I guarantee you, people are going to go out there and do business as usual, and wherever they have to get, whatever is the cheapest and the most convenient, and that's all they care about.
Oh, but I mean, that is, to me, that is unbelievable. Absolutely. It's like I say, no, I'm repetitious. A child would have had better...
Yeah.
You know, a child would have used better judgment in that.
Well, you know, a pilot is like a brain surgeon or, any kind of physician. He's got the power of life and death in his hands. And when a kind of incredibly stupid and lax things go on, and I notice, nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn about it, and I don't hear anybody else talking about it, so life goes on in a big city. We have an open line in Dade, 624-9400, 131 at WINZ. Our next call from Hialeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good.
Listen, yesterday there was a comment made about the people going on welfare and not getting unemployment.
Not on this show.
No, sir, on the gentleman that follows you out.
Well, call him and talk about it.
One night he came to Ollie when he had a dream. We'll send the Ayatollah missiles and a cake, collecting all the money for the Contra's sake. We'll funnel all the money through a Swiss account, and no one gives a damn if it don't balance out. But you should have seen him kick, you should have seen him ball. When Congress called him up and said he had to talk, when all he saw he got himself into a fix. His lawyers got him off the hook with legal tricks. The congressmen and senators got awful miffed when all he testified and said, I plead the fifth. Go! Sometimes you must act above the law. Find something secret documents inside your bra. She told the Congress that and Ollie they could trust, saying Ollie did what he must. Go, 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 Ollie, go. Go, 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 Ollie, go. Go, 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 Ollie, go. Ollie, go, Ollie, go. Go, go, Ollie, go. Ollie be good. Well, I forgot. Will it ever finish? Will it ever end? The story of the Colonel Man and all his friends. The moral of the story, which they never saw, is that no one in this country is above the law. I said go. Go, Ollie, go. Go. Go, Ollie, go. I said go. Go, Ollie, go. I said go. Go, 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 go. Ollie be good.
Get serious. Boy, on a scale of 0, that's about minus infinity, isn't it? I wondered why I hadn't played that before. Okay, they fed that down the CBS line a few days ago, and you won't hear that on this show again. Okay, 18 before 2 at WINZ. We have a couple of open lines still in Broward, 524-9400. And where shall we go, he asked, and the answer is...